Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. This is the Friday Film Threat Livecast. I am in an undisclosed hotel room in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm here for Grand Rapids Comic-Con. I'll be here all weekend. In fact, right after this stream, I'm going to the convention hall, talking to fans, and just hanging out with a bunch of people. Shout out to Aaron, who picked me up at the airport and got me a ride over to the con. That was an adventure. Alan, remind me to tell you about my adventures getting to the con. Plus, today we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. One, the Marvels. Also, it's Godzilla Day today. Did you know November 3rd is Godzilla Day? Yes, it is. We're also going to discuss Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We'll get our trailer reaction. And today, you know what today would have been? Today would have been the date that Dune Part 2 opened in theaters in IMAX. November 3rd was the original date. The film has since moved to March 15th, 2024. We're going to talk about what you may see in Dune Part 2, and there's been an interesting announcement now about a Dune spin-off series that will be on Max. We've got news on that. Plus, a lot of reviews of Fingernails, which opens in theaters today, is also on Apple TV+. Priscilla, that's Sofia Coppola's movie about Priscilla Presley. The Holdovers, which is in theaters, and I haven't seen it, but Alan has. I'm told one of the best movies of this year. Pain Hustlers on Netflix. The Boy and the Heron, which is Miyazaki's new film. I don't know. We've got a whole list here. Alan, we're not going to get to all of these. And an interview with directors Graham Phillips and Parker Phillips about their film Rumble in the Dark, starring Aaron Eckhart. Again, another big Film Threat show. So if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. And also, just if you just tuned in, click that like button. It helps. I never really ask this stuff. Now I'm asking. Look, I've talked so long now. The music is repeating. Let's get the show started. Again, typical Alan. Where is that guy?
It's just this running theme that they have.
Well, it's I don't think Zootopia's Pixar.
It's not. It's a Disney. But it is. Racist, even though I guess, but it's the father who doesn't want her daughter.
Alan!
But no opener, no.
You're like Beetlejuice. That's the only way to get you to come on the show, man. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, there is an easier way to do that. Hey, I think you got to turn your mic up or something.
Turn my mic up?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh well, okay. You're louder when you're closer to the mic.
Why don't I move closer?
Yeah, there you go.
It's very low tech. I'm like, what's the best angle? Do you want to see the towels on the floor in that part of the room, or my stuff over here? I've got all piled up to go to the con. Yeah. I'll just.
They really upgraded the La Quinta Inns, by the way. It looks great in there.
It's not quite that, but look, I have no complaints. I'm being treated very well at the con. But there was a big mistake. You have to hear this real quick story. So. The con, I was just like, hey, I want to see some of my family. Maybe I'll stay a little later or come in earlier, whatever. I'll book my own flight for the con. No problem. So I booked myself flying into Detroit Metro Airport, but there is an airport in Grand Rapids. So after an all day, I had a layover in Dallas, got here to Detroit, and then 3 hours and had a conversation with Aaron, who's, I don't want to give his last name for privacy reasons, but Aaron is a filmmaker in Detroit, and we should have recorded our conversation. It was like a great podcast about indie filmmaking and film history. And he also teaches film as well as works in production film. I'm going to be seeing Aaron later this weekend, which is going to be cool. Just I can't take the Michigan out of me. Somebody was making fun of me on Twitter going, "Ooh, this will be funny. A Californian going to Michigan." It's like, I'm all Michigan, man. I'm part of the Big Mitten. I'm the Michigan Mafia. So no, we had a great conversation and whatever, but the person who made this mistake was me. I didn't realize there's an actual Grand Rapids airport 15 minutes from the hotel I'm staying at. So whatever.
Fine.
Life gives you lemons. You record a podcast, I guess. So, but we have so much to talk about today. So let's see who's in the chat. Let's go to our comments here. Let's just see who's here. Oh my gosh, a lot of new members. We have Berg Flicka has become a member. Dale Talsma, Bad Gamergate, and Jingo. Thank you, all of you, for becoming a member of the channel. Make sure you click on the community tab on YouTube to become a part of our Discord and watch that community tab. We've got some giveaways coming up, including some 4K Blu-ray giveaways as well that we'll be shipping out. So, yeah, I love it when people, and the most active person actually on the Discord, I'm talking to him right now, Alan.
No, I could be better on Discord.
You're way better than I am. I check in once a week just to see if anyone mention what's going on, but I love it. It continues our chat conversation right on the Discord. Let's see. Dean Burden says, Chris, will you and Alan watch the Marvels so we don't have to? Dude, I got my tickets a month ago. I'm like a super fan. I can't wait to see it. Cannot wait.
I know, it's crazy. I will be seeing Wish before I see the Marvels.
That's so weird. And actually, I love, if you follow Alan on Instagram, Alan is Film Threat Alan, or Alan on Twitter, my pal Al. Don't follow Alan on those platforms. But if you follow Alan, there were these hilarious photos where you're like doing selfies, but like you're with each of the Marvels.
I know, it was great. It's funny because those cutouts that I'm standing next to are actual size, and you realize how short the Marvels are. I mean, they are at least, they're probably 5'4" each of them.
I'm pretty sure I could bench press all of the Marvels, and I'm no physical specimen. I'm not bragging. I'm not like, I'm not super athletic, but I do lift weights, and I think I could bench press them pretty handily. J Bond Jedi says, see you Sunday at the con. Don't forget to turn those clocks back an hour. Oh, that's right. Is it back?
Fall back.
We lose an hour. Fall back. Spring forward.
No, we gain an hour. We gain an hour. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
because you're going backwards, and so you get that hour back.
I'm gonna go back in time. All right. Firm 123, best live stream on YouTube here. Well, thank you for that. We'll see by the end of the show. Dr. Gonzo, hey Chris, see you tomorrow, bro. I will see you, Dr. Gonzo. Dr. Gonzo, very active on Twitter, formerly known as X. Or is it the other way around? Flip it, reverse it. X, formerly known as Twitter. Dr. Gonzo, see you tomorrow. Also, BTW, the trailer for Echo has just been released. Can't wait for that to bomb. Oh, you're kidding, says Justin Shadow. Alan, find it. We'll do an instant reaction. The trailer for Echo. We've got a couple other things to discuss, though, before we get to that. Find the trailer for Echo. We will react to it live. And then Ms. P. Coffee, if you could do a little banner, Echo trailer reaction. From Rumble, BMO Better Sub Supporter says, Chris and Alan should dress up in costumes when they go see the Marvels. Should we? Should I wear like a skirt? I'm not, by the way, I know that like some people like to cross dress. I am not one of those people. even though you might find evidence on the internet to the contrary, I don't like to do that. I have dressed as Batman. I dressed as Alex from Clockwork Orange when I was in high school. I've dressed as a lot of things. But yeah, I don't know if we'll dress up if we go to the Marvels. I do have a shirt. Alan and I both have shirts we could wear.
For the Marvels?
Yeah. All right, we're just gonna do. Okay, we're gonna. Did you find
we
it?
need a Film Threat Marvels T-shirt then.
Oh, we have a design. We're relaunching the shop in about a week. I've been working with someone on this. I want to shout out and a thank you to Lori Ormond. We're working on a redesign of the shop. It's going to relaunch a week from today. So check that out. All right, are we ready for the Echo trailer reaction?
Yeah, let me share screen.
Do you want to put it in the private chat? Should I play it or should you play it?
I could play it. I just
okay.
We'll
all
see
right,
how good it goes.
Let's do it. Okay, this just dropped, folks. Echo trailer reaction. Alan, get it to the beginning. Make sure to share sound. We're going.
Share sound? It's not.
Yes. Come on.
Is there a share sound button?
I don't know if there's a share. Look.
I don't think there is. Here, I'll play it.
I want a little note. When problems happen on the show, I like to react to them in a funny way because I think it's funny that we're just human. I think we are human. We make mistakes. I make the mistakes part of the show so it doesn't look like we're incompetent. It's actually part of the show. It's kind of fun. It's
yes.
So there you go.
Yes, Howard Stern. Thank you very much.
Hey, Alan, that's how you and I bonded. Actually, is you liked Howard Stern and I like Howard Stern, but I can't really listen to him now. I think he's.
During the pandemic, he was just insufferable.
I stopped listening and I canceled my Sirius, and I was a day one Sirius XM person.
Yeah.
Day one. All right. Let's watch this trailer. Could you pause it at points if you feel necessary? Alan, you take the lead on this. And
okay.
This
is
only
2 minutes long. So
2 minutes. Here we go.
Maya. I see everything that you are.
creepy.
I always have. Don't be afraid. You have so much pain in you. You. So much rage. That you can't contain it.
What?
You and I are the same. So, who's the monster?
All right. So that goes on our
did
calendar.
You see that? It's yeah. Did you see that? It's TVMA. It's TVMA.
So it's like an R. It's just a
mature
gritty
audience
crime thing, but it's Kingpin. Of course, Vincent D'Onofrio is Kingpin, and I like him as that character. Although I'll say this: a little advice: if you're going to beat the living crap out of somebody, wearing all white might not be the best color choice for you. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
But if you're going to film it, then wear white.
Right. If you're going to film it, wear white. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it would be, but I don't know what it's. So it's about a deaf girl who has one leg. She has. Who was the person getting off the thing that had like the one? had the the metal leg.
I think that's her, isn't it?
That's her,
I,
yeah.
I mean,
So I mean, I can't.
she she checks off multiple boxes.
Yeah, let's just get it all. I just don't see how this fits into Marvel going forward and what everything means. So I don't know.
I think I've given up trying to figure out what everything means. Uh,
Right.
like I just watched Loki last night, and I'm like,
Oh, I watched Loki last night.
yeah,
Nothing happened.
yeah.
Every-
Last night could have again. You can cut if you cut 20. Let's see, if you cut 30 minutes out of every Loki episode, I think you'd have a much better.
and it would
Better
still
tell.
nothing would happen. Everything is just it's this gimmick of Tom Hiddleston, and then he sort of reappears like he's run a 6-minute mile or something.
Honestly, my biggest problem with it is the fact that they're trying to jam Marvel into it. That yeah, I mean, I have to think that if you pulled everything Marvel out of it, you'd have a halfway decent sci-fi show. It wouldn't be great, but it'd be okay. I mean, again, it explores interesting ideas, which I like about sci-fi. It just takes an idea and expands on it, but it's just trying to put too much. It's trying to put Marvel in it without ever putting Marvel in it. I mean, even Loki's not Loki in this one.
Well, I find it telling that we're doing an Echo trailer reaction and immediately stop talking about it after 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, we just decided, well, there you are. So there you go.
Well, I mean, the initial things about the Echo trailer is one, it is, it's a step toward the old Netflix Marvel series because
Mhm.
there's blood in it. Find out it's TVMA.
Right.
It's you've never seen blood in a Disney Marvel television show.
Well, not all that much blood. You've seen blood, but not.
Well, not that I mean, definitely not to this level. I mean,
Mhm.
people are bleeding. People are getting. I mean, this is very violent, which means the trailer did a good job selling the series. Now, whether the series pays off the trailer is a whole other question.
I think it's going to be just as substanceless and meaningless
Yep.
as Loki. That's my prediction. It will have no effect on events in the Marvel universe. The characters will, other than Kingpin, are not. I don't think Echo's going to continue in any form. And
And just the fact that they're dropping it all in one dump
right
for binge thing.
dropping it all in one day, mainly for they're following the binge model, which Netflix has been doing for years. And I think that is very telling, that decision, because I'm sure they've seen shows drop off. The thing is, there's no retention with these shows. I know that we've been talking about and covering Loki. I don't know why we're doing it. No one else seems to care. And that's sort of the consensus. Now we're supposed to have the final episode of Loki premieres November 9th around 6 p.m. Pacific time, which is when the Marvels comes out. My guess is there'll be some sort of tie-in, at least maybe with the final events of the Marvels. There's the end credit scene, but I see Echo. I mean, I guess we'll cover it on that day, or we'll cover it before.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I'll be seeing Loki after I see the Marvels.
Right. But the other thing is, it drops. Did it say January 10th? Is when it drops? Echo January 10th?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. What is? I mean, you got post-holiday. People are getting back to what they're doing. What a weird time! What a weird time to premiere a show.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. It's a very weird time to premiere a show.
Yeah.
So that is also very telling that it's coming out in January. We'll see how it goes. All right. Quick thing that I want to discuss very quickly, moving on. I want to say to everyone here, happy Godzilla Day. Godzilla -1 is coming. I'm very excited about this. Tickets went on sale for Godzilla -1, which is in IMAX. They're doing a special screening on November 29th at the AMC Burbank 16. Actually, not just the AMC Burbank 16. At IMAX theaters across the country on Wednesday, November 29th, is a Godzilla -1 fan event. Tickets went on sale this morning. I got my tickets for Wednesday. Alan, you should get your tickets as well. We'll talk about Godzilla -1 on that Friday. I have been a longtime Godzilla fan since I was a kid. Discovered the original Godzilla movie with Raymond Burr, which is really funny because I didn't find out until years later that Raymond Burr was shoehorned into the movie for the American release. It was released by American International Pictures, or AIP, which released a lot of the Toho monster movies in the United States. I was a huge fan of Godzilla just from day one because I was a monster movie fan. I'm talking about I was a monster movie fan when I was like 3 years old. Okay. And I learned to read a newspaper just so I could read, like before I went to school, I just wanted to know what time monster movies were on. And I would read the TV guide and circle and plan out my schedule of when I was going to watch, The Ghoul. I know if you're from Michigan and you're of a certain age, you know who The Ghoul is, or Sir Graves Ghastly, or Creature Feature, or the 4:30 movie where they would have Godzilla Week. They would literally show a Godzilla movie every day. I quit the Cub Scouts because of Godzilla Week because it conflicted with my TV watching. Okay, so I went down a certain path. Becoming a Godzilla fan also got me to buy movie magazines like Famous Monsters of Filmland, which was edited by Forrest J. Ackerman. Forrest J. Ackerman claimed to fame he created modern fandom. We're talking about like as a kid, like in the 40s and 50s, he was the first person to cosplay at a convention. He created Famous Monsters magazine being a fan. But so that's how I got into all this. Godzilla was sort of a gateway to all other kinds of monsters. And a recent DV Tuesday on the Film Threat YouTube channel, I talked about the Criterion Collection Godzilla, this sort of book set of, well, it's a couple things. One, and I have two sets. One is standard def, one is Blu-ray. And they have the original Japanese subtitled in English versions of these movies. I'd never seen them. And they're very, very different. In any case, that's my Godzilla story. I'm a big fan. If you've seen that, I was going to do a trailer reaction to Godzilla -1. There are way too many spoilers in it. I was looking at the comments, and under the comments, people are all complaining, too many spoilers. I don't think we should do a trailer reaction. It just gives a lot away. Just check out the trailer if you want to see it. If not, go in blind. And I've seen this trailer. I've seen one version of the trailer. It's more of a 1-minute teaser in theaters on an IMAX screen. Incredible. Yeah. Alan, your thoughts on?
I just wanted to mention that we are having kind of a meetup the day before on November 30th, which is when it opens.
Yes.
So I will be in Burbank to watch it, and we will have a guest. I don't know if this person wants to reveal that they'll be there. Oh yeah, Miss B Coffee will be there.
Yeah, there is going to there's a bigger meetup happening, and I can't talk about it yet.
Oh, okay.
But it might rhyme with Schmerdrotic. And it's happening that same night, probably that Thursday, if not.
Oh, okay.
In any case, I will let you know.
Yeah.
I will let everyone know, but there are going to be a lot of people there. It might even rhyme with Schmexray Girl. You never know. They're all going to be there.
You mean my schmotter?
All right. Anyways, yes, there'll be we will announce details when I am allowed.
Okay.
Meaning I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna. Yeah. I'm not the one arranging it. I'm part of it. I've suggested a location. So there you go. Anyways, thoughts
it's not the patio, is it?
No, the patio is too small. Okay, Alan, your thoughts on Godzilla or anything you want to say about it? Today's Godzilla Day. I think it's the day that the original Godzilla was released back in 1954.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been a longtime Godzilla fan, and you've seen the movies. Honestly, I'm going to say I have not been a huge fan of the American versions of Godzilla. I think the true versions of Godzilla are Japanese. You've seen the costumes get better. They got a little whimsical and more for kids in the 70s, and then that kind of changed, and they kind of redid some of the lore. And this Godzilla -1 just looks like a whole other level.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
And I was watching the event.
I'll say the change in Godzilla occurred in the 60s, 70s when he became more like Barney in terms of Godzilla was rounded out instead of the sharp features of a reptile. He became kind of a balloon type character, a puffy, cushiony character, and with big Disney eyes, and that's kind of, having watched the Japanese series recently, there was a definite distinction there. I'm excited about this just to kind of see, if there was a series that needed a modern update. I think Godzilla is one of them, and thankfully the Americans aren't doing it.
And
they are doing it, but this one is not.
The way to do it is to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And this is why I like the approach. I like Shin Godzilla. I know people have different issues with it. I really love Shin Godzilla. It's not what you think it is. It's a lot of it is something of a commentary on the nuclear accident in Japan and how emergency services reacts to things. So there's a little bit of commentary on there, but Godzilla was always a social commentary.
It was always about nuclear war, and
it was about nuclear war and what man has created. Man created this monster, Godzilla, and we now have to suffer for what we created. So,
by the way, Oppenheimer is still in theaters. So.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a great pairing. Double
Godzilla and Oppenheimer.
Godzilla and Oppenheimer. So there you go. All right. Now we're going to pivot because we have so much to talk about. I want to do this. This is just a quick follow-up to something that we were talking about. We have been talking about, which is the Panderverse and Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Okay. This is a very short video I want to share with everybody. This doesn't just tie into the Panderverse. It's a 2-minute video, really quick, and it's writing advice from Matt Stone and Trey Parker of South Park, of course, creators of South Park, and amazing films that I think are more relevant today, like Team America. Watch Team America now. It's much more relevant now, even than when it came out. And when it came out, it was pretty risky.
Yeah,
it was pretty risky when they were doing it. When they put this out, it was for them to, so here it's just a short 2-minute quick thing. I think it's worth playing because it ties into the biggest problem in Hollywood right now is writing. This is the biggest problem in Hollywood is they don't have writers with life experience. They have writers that are inexperienced and not being mentored, and writers that are being put into positions they are clearly unprepared for. So this ties into the fall.
Well, they're not taught well, and they don't understand classic storytelling.
Right. I mean, a lot of it is, production value. You know what? Production value is pretty much there for most shows.
Acting is there for the most part.
The acting is there. When you see a lot of these series, even things like Ahsoka, it's like a lot of times when I see the flat performance, I blame the director because the director's not. George Lucas had the one direction: faster, more intense. And he repeated it because that's what he wanted the actors to do, not this slow school of pause acting. I'm calling you out, William Shatner. That was Shatner's thing. I think my theory on a lot of that is, real quick before we show this video, my theory is when you see an actor pause for dramatic effect, it's not for dramatic effect. It's because they're trying to remember the next thing they're going to say.
You're doing that to William Shatner. No, he does it for effect. He does it for emphasis.
He does it for emphasis. But what
he knows his lines. He's putting emphasis on words. He's not trying to remember the next line.
Look, in the nether regions of the meat brain of an actor, I'm telling you that they're trying to remember lines. It's the two things that I hold in high regard when I see actors that are great. It's like, first of all, how do you remember all that shit? And secondly, how do you cry on command? And if you've ever dated an actor, you know that superpower is used for evil and not good.
And let me just say this about George Lucas.
Please.
Jake Lloyd.
Right. Well, I blame.
Okay, go on.
Okay, no, but I blame George Lucas for one. I don't think he should have cast Jake Lloyd, and two, he needed to be a better director. And George Lucas has never really been known as an actor's director. Hey, we're talking about writing here.
I know.
Let's get this quick writing advice from Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Don't move.
Please welcome the Emmy Award-winning and Tony
nervous. I don't know why I'm
creators
nervous.
of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. You think I'm kidding, right?
Hey, they were. Hey!
Oh my God.
Our whole South Park writers room, one whole wall is one of these, and we've got it split up into 3 acts.
We have
from where
different
the
colored
commercial
markers
breaks
just
are.
like here too. Look at.
Yep.
We have that.
And I walk around with the markers like this, and we'll go, okay, we do a show about
This
this.
is
It's like,
our writer's room.
oh, okay, well, somewhere, okay, this would be a funny scene if we had
That's
this.
true.
Each individual scene has to work as a kind of funny sketch. You don't want one scene that's just like, well, what was the point of that scene? We found out this really simple rule that maybe you guys have all heard before, but it took us a long time to learn it. But we can take these beats, which are basically the beats of your outline, and if the words "and then" belong between those beats, you're f***ed, basically. You got something pretty boring. What should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word "therefore" or "but." Right? So what I'm saying is that you come up with an idea and it's like, okay, this happens, right? And then this happens. No. It should be this happens, and therefore this happens. But this happens, therefore this happens. And that, as soon as we are able to, and literally sometimes we'll write it out to make sure we're doing it. We'll have our beats and we'll say, okay, this happened, but then this happens, and that affects this, and that does to that. And that's why you get a show that feels like, okay, this to that, to this to that, but this, here's the complication to that. And there's so many scripts we read from new writers and things that we see.
God, I see movies.
And
that-
yeah,
you see movies that you're just watching. It's like this happened, and then this happens, and then this happens. That's when you're in a movie, just going, "What the f- am I watching this movie for?" Just like this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. That's not a movie, you know. That's not a story. Like Trey said, it's those two, but because therefore, that gives you the causation between each beat, and that makes that's a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just described what's wrong with Disney Star Wars. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Chris. You're muted, Chris.
I know. I was going to say, sorry. I was just going to say, like, that describes modern writing, the problem. This is Ahsoka. This happens, then this happens, then this happens. It's not therefore or but. Like, it's things have to get more complex rather than this. I feel like a lot of the Disney current Marvel and current Star Wars are just, they're like a bad video game. So you're on a quest to find a thing, to do a thing, and so what?
Well, yeah. Well, that's why I describe these shows as, you know, you go out in your backyard, you take all your toys, and you tell a story with your toys. You know, it's, you know, they're just objects you move around on stage, and it just progresses some kind of a narrative, some kind of an adventure that really has no weight to it. What Trey and Matt are bringing up here is the idea of everything that you put on screen has value, must have value, must mean something. And then the scene that preceded it has to, you know, lead to the next scene. You know, there has to be consequences to what you just put on screen in the next scene. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. You're wasting our time.
Right.
And you're not engaging the audience that way. You're not making the audience want to know what's going to happen next. And I think that's exactly what they're trying to say here.
That's precisely it. So I just wanted to show that because I think it ties into almost everything we discuss. If we're a very critical, this is why we're critical. We're going to put a link to that video in the description for this episode. So there you go. Pivoting topics, just a couple more topics before we get to our main topic and reviews for today. Big show. I know I'm in a hotel room in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Shout out to my fellow Michigander friends and people. There are people driving from all over to come see me here. I'm getting Twitter messages and I'm very excited. I'm going to meet a lot of people that I've only known via social media. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, quick thing. We're going to do a quick trailer reaction, another trailer reaction to this. So let me pivot just a moment here. I will be doing this. I appreciate your patience as I do this here. Okay. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes trailer reaction. A new trailer dropped yesterday. We're going to react to it very quickly and give you our thoughts. But I want to tell you before we watch it, I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan because I'm a fan of a lot of things, but a lot of these things I saw when I was a kid, so they've imprinted on me. So the Planet of the Apes films, I saw the first movie and it scared the living hell out of me for a couple of reasons. One, that this world was topsy-turvy with humans being the subservient species to advanced civilization of apes. That was frightening to me. The second thing was the way that Charlton Heston swore, "You get your hands off me, you goddamned dirty ape." And I remember when I was a kid, when I would ever hear the words "goddamn," I would like just say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I always felt like this weird, like something was going to happen to me if somebody said, you could say fuck, you could say shit, whatever, but you say goddamn. Goddamn was like the worst thing you could say. And Charlton Heston says it several times in the movie. He's also, if you look back on that movie, he's stripped naked, humiliated, he's whipped. It's like partly it's like a Makid Assad like fetish BDSM scene, part of what it is. And we did an article later in Film Threat on that. I hired a dominatrix to review, this is an old issue of Film Threat, hired a dominatrix to review Planet of the Apes and point out all the weird fetish stuff in it. And what's unusual is none of the other Planet of the Apes movies had that. And when I was a kid, I remember my mom and dad took me to the drive-in to see A Dusk Till Dawn. It was a screening of all 5 Planet of the Apes movies at the time. They started with Planet of the Apes. I think I fell asleep around Escape, kind of woke up during Conquest. But I saw all 5 of those movies at a drive-in when I was a kid. And I remember the sun coming out. It was morning and we had just seen Battle for the Planet of the Apes, but it was all 5 movies in a row. It was fantastic. And I'll never forget that memory as a kid seeing it. So I've been a longtime fan of Planet of the Apes.
Didn't Rod Serling write the first one?
He was involved in the writing of the first one. He came up with the twist ending with the Statue of Liberty, just destroyed.
Yeah. Buried in the ocean. Basically.
Buried partially. Yeah. It was just crazy. That ending is one of the greatest endings ever. And then even the ending of Beneath Planet of the Apes, when you see that, like, it's Orson Welles' voice telling you the world is destroyed, that scared the living hell out of me. And then they found a way to continue the series where they escape, which was like a low budget version where Cornelius and Zira and Milo, they go back to, they go back in time, and they're the ones that create this loop because their son becomes Caesar, which is a talking ape, a more advanced ape that then unites the apes, which are effectively slaves. It's so, each one of those movies, with the exception of Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which is kind of cheesy. But those 4 Planet of the Apes movies were just exceptional writing. And yes, you look back and the makeup effects are kind of fanciful. They
were pretty awesome in the 70s.
They were awesome in the 70s. Now you've recreated it with these digital monkeys. I'm not entirely sold. Yeah. I think they're okay. They're fine, but I'm not in love with the new trilogy. Well, this is the continuation of that, my understanding. Let's watch the trailer. And I told you it was going to be a big show today. I told you it was going to be a big show. So let's watch the trailer now for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
When I sleep, I see strange things.
Memories?
Not memories. New things. I see everything.
That is not everything. What a wonderful day!
Why does it feel like a cartoon to me? Oh, you're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
Here's the problem. It sounds like I mute myself because I don't want the sound.
Yeah.
It still looks digital to me. I'm sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
some of it.
It's a cartoon. That's the first thing and it's animated and it feels over exaggerated.
Right.
It doesn't. They went too far in terms of trying to make them expressive, and it just feels it doesn't feel authentic at that point.
No, it doesn't feel authentic. But what's interesting is what they've gotten to now is they've actually gotten to they've gotten to sort of where they were with, the original Planet of the Apes. They've caught up. This integration of more primitive humans, right? You've got more primitive humans, and then you've got advanced apes. So they've sort of caught up to the very first Planet of the Apes movies with Charlton Heston, I guess.
So were they in the original? Were they in suspended animation, or did they?
They were suspended in the original movie. They were in suspended animation. They ended up going to the year 3000 something. I forget it, but it's actually on the monitor. They brought a woman with them, and there were 3 different men, right?
Yeah.
And a woman. And the idea was to populate another planet. That was the mission, was to find another planet in another galaxy and repopulate it so that humankind could spread throughout the galaxy. That was the original mission, right? So I know it sounds weird, but these 3 men were going to procreate with 1 woman. That was the concept. They don't go into a lot of detail in it, but they end up crash landing back on Earth, right? But they're in the future. They are in the future. But ironically, what happens? The woman, it was a crack in her case, and she died. Probably should have had maybe more women on that trip. Just a thought. But I'm curious to see kind of like what they end up doing with this. How much this connects to? How does this connect to the other Planet of the Apes movies? Is this the 4th one now? Is this where we are? What are your thoughts, Alan, based on seeing?
Oh man. I mean, I think this series started well with what was it? Battle. King. No, what was the Franco one?
It was Rise and Dawn, but
Rise and Dawn. It seemed like a good start there, and I think, I don't know. It just I think we're at the point where this franchise is kind of, it's just considered a cash cow now. They're just going to do it, and of course now Disney is behind this one. And it's just I look at that trailer and I think about how well Avatar, how much better Avatar does it better. Creating this animated world that incorporates humans here and there, but gives us performances at least that feel, somewhat authentic considering what we're watching. I think it'd be interesting if this was the lead into maybe rebooting the original, bringing having people who are in the present now move forward to this time. But you just get the sense they're gonna screw all that up anyways.
All I can say is, I'll see it because I'm an old school Planet of the Apes fan. So I'm going to see it regardless.
It's kind of our job too. So
Yeah, but I'm not super excited. I feel like they did those 3 and that was enough. They didn't need to do more. So
wait, here's the thing. Based on what we saw, what's the general plot?
well, we don't know. There's no story.
What's the struggle? What's the conflict of this movie? All they did was they basically put us in the world that we're already familiar with, and created, there's a conflict. Well, what's the nature of that conflict?
Correct.
What's exciting me to want to see it? Right now, all this is it's another chapter of a story that we just don't know. They're not selling us as to why we need to watch this specific story
Of a story that will never end at this point. So I you know what? I'm mildly interested, but I can't say that trailer got me excited. It looks very pretty, and I will definitely press start on that video game, but I need to know if I'm going to see a movie, that this is a movie and not some better version of a tech demo, because I don't know, I'm getting PS5 vibes.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Let's just say that as pretty as it is, I'm not impressed with the animation at all.
All right, well, that's
much
fair.
more impressed with previous versions, not this one.
That's fair. All right. We're going to go to your comments about all of our news stories before we get to our main topic. One last thing I want to discuss, which is this. Here's what I'm going to discuss. Today, November 3rd, 2023, was supposed to be the day that Dune Part 2 premiered. Because of the ongoing writer's strike and the actor's strike, it was determined kind of early on that Dune Part 2 moved its date. Now, did it move because of the writer's strike? I think partially. But I also think that it moved because they need to continue to work on these special effects. My understanding is that Denis Villeneuve is very meticulous when it comes to planning. What he does is, and I know this directly from someone who worked on the production, he pre-vises the entire film. So what does that mean? That means he makes the entire movie before he shoots the actors. So you can see, and the other filmmaker who does this also is Steven Spielberg, is known for this. He'll work with actually like proteges out of USC Film School to basically, he makes the movie using paper and crude computer stuff. And you'll have like a picture of Timothée Chalamet and someone doing a temp voice. So they'll go through the script. So he can actually watch a version of the movie that's very crude. But what you're watching is actors, go through all the dialogue that's currently in the script. You're seeing crude animatics of the events that occur. And my guess is, based on everything that I've heard, that this film is far more ambitious, and they're using the strike as an opportunity to take more time with this movie, which I think is a good thing in the long run. Of course, they're not going to have the actors, in time to be able to promote it. Had it opened today on November 3rd, they will have the actors in March. By then, if they don't resolve the strike before then, we're talking about the death of an industry. But they're definitely going to wrap it up before the Oscars, which is in March. So I think this method of pre-vising, is such meticulous pre-planning, is something that's counter to what Marvel does, which is, well, we're going to do reshoots, we're going to test it, we're going to do more reshoots. And this ends up driving up the cost of the film. The reported budget for Dune Part 2 is $160 million, is my understanding. That's half of what the Marvels cost. Half. And why is that? Because as we had her on the show, Catherine Hardwicke, who was the director of the original Twilight movie, which is I would say the most watchable of the Twilight films, because it's actually taken seriously, whatever you think of the Twilight movies. Okay. But Catherine Hardwicke's philosophy as a director is, she says, fix it in prep. And to those filmmakers out there, that is what you need to do, is prep. And then to shoot the movie is like, okay, now we just have to shoot the live action to fit the previs. You're just sort of popping things into place. So I think it's a good thing that it was moved. I'm a little bummed out that it's March. I mean, I actually think that this would be a great tentpole summer movie and could play for months. But actually, technically speaking, March is when the original Matrix movie opened. So that was something that Warner Brothers did, which was a gamble and proved to be huge. I mean, the Matrix, when it came out, no one was prepared for what the Matrix was.
And it sat there by itself,
right?
raking in money.
For a long time. I saw it. I was in the San Francisco Bay Area for something. I was for some meeting about something, and I saw it up there, and I couldn't believe it. Just went in some random theater. Oh, I have time now to go to a movie. I'm gonna go to this movie. Amazing. And just like, I think The Matrix, when everyone saw it, it was just a surprise. There was no big hype for that movie. And Keanu Reeves was not as respected back then as he was. I mean, he was the Bill and Ted guy. Keanu Reeves. Like people didn't take him.
Well, he did Speed at that time, and he was an action star.
True,
at the time.
But look, Dune Part 2, I think it's good that they're moving it. Second thing I've heard is it's 3 hours. It's 3 hours. The other thing I've heard is it's a war film. And another thing that hasn't been reported is there's a very important character in this film we have not as yet seen, and that is Paul's sister, Aliyah. Aliyah was conceived before the death of Duke Leto. And of course, and what ends up happening, if you've read the book, so these are spoilers. Okay, so I'm giving spoilers that are in the book. Okay, basically, Lady Jessica takes the water of life to become basically the matriarch of their tribe. The Fremen. And when she does this while she's pregnant, and it basically, she gives birth to what they call Aliyah an abomination, right? Because she becomes aware and intelligent as a fetus, and then is born as a baby with the brain and intelligence of an adult. And so my understanding is that what I've heard from the production is that he's taken a different take on this. In the David Lynch version, 1984 Dune, Aliyah's just cast, there's like a young child that plays Aliyah, which is fine. But in this, apparently they're using some digital effect, and they're taking a different take on Aliyah's character. I don't know how that'll tie into other sequels like Dune Messiah. We'll see. The other thing that I'm probably more excited about than anything is armies of sandworms attacking the Harkonnens and the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken. Also, we're introducing Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan, and she features prominently in the book. She wasn't in part 1, but she features prominently in the book because there ends up being an arranged marriage, so Paul can take his place as emperor. In any case, this is all, if you've read the Dune books, if you've seen the David Lynch version, unfortunately with the David Lynch version, which if you've seen the 4K 3-hour cut is incredible, the David Lynch version takes almost the second half of the book and shows it in montage. So much happens. It's going to be really interesting to see how they resolve it. Also, you've got Gurney Halleck, played by Patrick Stewart in the David Lynch version, of course, here played by Josh Brolin. I think he's going to have a much more prominent role as a rogue warrior, reuniting with Paul. We saw that in the Dune Part 2 trailer. So I have big expectations for this. I wonder if they're going to pull it off. I'm concerned about Aliyah, and it's just been announced that this was announced yesterday. There is a Dune series that's premiering in fall of 2024 on Max, and the title of it is called Dune Prophecy. It focuses on the Bene Gesserit, which are, of course, Jessica's part of the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood. It was originally called Dune Sisterhood, so now they've changed it to Dune Prophecy, and it deals with the manipulation of the bloodlines of the houses in the known galaxy. I don't know how you turn that story into a series. I feel like it's going to be very Game of Thrones in outer space, which is effectively what Dune is. If you've read the Dune books, it's like, this is Game of Thrones. And George R.R. Martin just sort of took elements of that, and instead of houses, it's kingdoms. And you do have like House Lannister and all that stuff. So he was very influenced, as well as George Lucas. I mean, the Dune original book was probably the most influential piece of science fiction ever written, originally published in 1965. So, and my understanding is Frank Herbert was actually kind of upset when the original Star Wars came out in 1977 because it borrowed so heavily from the first Dune book. In any case,
let me ask you: is Denny involved in the TV series?
Yes, he is involved in the TV series because there's a design. There are connections. So he is involved in it. As a producer, it directly connects to events in Dune, and it's about. This is speculation. My speculation is that this is about how they spread this prophecy that an outsider will come and unite the Fremen. They spread this as a way to build an army, but it's all a lie, right? The Bene Gesserit spread this so that when it was originally supposed to be the pairing of Paul was supposed to be born a woman and mate with Fade Rautha to produce what would
You're
have been
totally spoiling the series.
No, this is in the books.
I know.
This is in the books, and it's mentioned briefly. It's in the movie too. But look, the book's been around since 1965.
I know.
The Dune movie came out in 1984.
I know. It's like we're spoiling the Bible,
Yeah, you're spoiling the Bible. You've probably heard some stories from it. In any case, the pairing of what would have been a female version of Paul Atreides with Fade Rautha was supposed to be this child that would have united House Harkonnen and House Atreides into one great house that would have produced this person that would have come to Arrakis with this rumors of a Messiah that would unite them. Basically, it's basically they're like these PR agents kind of turning him into a god, a living god. That was the plan. Things didn't go according to plan and got messed up wildly. So I don't know if this series is going to be a prequel or what timeline it's set. I just know that it's called Dune Prophecy. So there you go. And I'm going to be there on day one, like everybody else. I cannot wait. So Alan, do you have any thoughts?
How will you be dressed?
Do you have any thoughts before we go to comments?
Yeah, I'm glad also that they pushed Dune off until next year. And the big reason why is hold on one second. The big reason why is the Marvels is now available on IMAX. I can watch it the way the Marvels was meant to be seen on a very large screen. Look. Here. I got my ticket to see the Marvels in IMAX. There's my seat. And if any of you want to come and join me in this large empty IMAX theater, you're more than welcome to do it. So thank you, Dune, for moving it so I can see the Marvels in IMAX.
Alan, we're going to talk about the Marvels next.
Okay. Well, have I spoiled it? Is that the deal?
No, that's just, we got to go by the... Why do
you say what was the great thing about moving Dune? The great thing about moving Dune was the Marvels.
That's not a great thing. It's a terrible thing. All right, you know what? Let's get to your comments, and then we're going to get to our main topic. And we're going to do no film reviews today. We had all these film reviews planned.
I rushed to see Priscilla last night, and so we have to have food. Show's gonna go long today, folks. We need to go to your comments because we have a lot of them, and then we're gonna talk about the Marvels next, and then we have an interview, and then we're gonna do our reviews. I'm in Michigan. All right. Thank you. I can't even read this. I can't read this. Mobile Recluse have become a YouTube member.
Yes, there you go. Mobile Recluse has become a YouTube member, and I'll do it. Yarazua gifted 5 Film Threat memberships. Thank you for that. 200 Watt Studio for 2. They lost me with her beating up dudes. That's in relation to Echo. So we're talking about Echo.
Did you notice they didn't really show her powers, if she has any?
Does she have powers? I don't even know.
Well, she could punch a guy through a brick wall.
There you go. Echo, is that the sound of no one in the room watching the show? 100%. Remus for 5 says One Punch Woman. Your Muslim uncle says Echo is going to be harder than Punisher and Daredevil.
Harder.
Yeah, I think he meant going to punch harder. 200 Watt Studio back again for 5 says, so is this the Netflix Kingpin, white and black suit, or Hawkeye Kingpin, Hawaiian shirts? No clue, but I do like D'Onofrio. I actually really like him. D'Onofrio is always awesome, even in a lame show. That's true. Put a chick in it and make it gay. Sir Switch Crookington says, member for 9 months. Why is women beating up men in universes where raccoons and ducks can talk and people can shoot in interdimensional lasers from their eyes? Yeah, I agree. It's kind of bizarre, but thank you for your membership for 9 months. Harry Anders for 100 Swedish krona, Friday evening, having an icy cold beer and listening to the sweet sounds of Alan and Chris's voices. Seeing the wonderful image of Alan's dog munching treats in the background. The Marvels will fall, by the way. Oh, we'll talk about it. 200 Watt Studio says, new Gojira -1 trailer drop today. Oh, not just today. I stayed up and watched it last night. It's fantastic. Bushin Ryu Cat for 5. Chris, first, thanks for the recommendation for buying Ultraman. Now I'm addicted. Second, isn't the name -1 referring to the dropping of the atomic bomb? That is my understanding. That's what it's about. And Mike MC Wong says, just like good conversations, one thing leads to another, not just going from one topic to another unrelated topic. That has to do with Alan basically ruining everything by showing.
I just showed an image of my ticket. Also, it refers to the fact that we switched from talking about Echo right into talking about Loki.
Whatever, man. I only give you shit because I like to chat with you every week. All right. More than once a week. Ghost Crusaders TV for 91999. Thank you for that. That is very generous. Some of the best writers did other things with their lives prior to writing. For instance, Donald P. Belisario, one of the most successful TV writers, he didn't go from high school to college to the writer's room. It's true. When you really see like writers, they've lived some life, they've suffered loss, they've loved and lost, they've had terrible tragedies. And when you look at, let's just talk about Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were in World War II. They fought in World War II when they were kids, effectively. Here they are in the early 60s, and they're bringing that experience to Marvel Comics. No wonder the early Marvel Comics were so good, and the storytelling so operatic and poetic and Shakespearean. Those guys had lived some lives, and they knew literature, and they knew good storytelling. Yeah. I'm talking about early days.
Well, I mean,
Marvel.
Go back even further. You have Playhouse 90. You have Twilight Zone. Alfred Hitchcock Presents. These are these are storytellers, and they were intense, gripping stories, and it's sad that you have to go back that far to see good television and good storytelling on television.
Right. Bill S. Preston Esquire has a comment here. Folks are free to think South Park sucks or that Matt and Trey are hacks. And while folks are free to think that, they're wrong. I would agree. When South Park is good, it's really good. From Rumble, Passably.
That's who it is, from Passably.
Passably. Okay. Writers have constrained themselves having to factor in so many things that are not for the story. That's true. And Passably goes on to say ticking boxes is one of them, of course, but there are others like showing things to merchandise, which is not organic. Yeah, like that's part of why it's part of why Tim Burton quit the Batman series. They had a falling out. True story. They had a falling out over Batman because Batman Returns was so not for kids and so dark, yet they had McDonald's toys. And if you have any of those Batman McDonald's toys, good on you. But McDonald's was freaked out because the movie was so dark and not for children. And Tim Burton was so frustrated he did not do a third Batman film with Michael Keaton in that series. And of course, they pivoted. So there you go. Thomas Pickett, their documentary 6 Days to Air is great too. Thomas, thank you for the 2. That is one of the great, if you are a filmmaker or an aspiring creative, that is one of the best documentaries you can see. It's how they make an entire episode of South Park in 6 days, from just thinking of the idea and coming up with the concept, recording all the voices. And they created this whole process to doing it where they literally will deliver the file, to what was Comedy Central then, right before it airs. It's insane process, but it has to do with like, there are very few people involved. Like they do most of the voices, right? They do most, if not all of the voices. So it's this small creative crew and they put it together in 6 days. Incredibly inspiring. Seek out that documentary, 6 Days to Air. Bush and Rio Cat, the old movies were scary good because they were terrifying and you knew the humans couldn't win. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was at a time where you weren't quite sure if humans were going to win. Let's see. Hilariously Awful for 5 says, Gore, Ing, thanks for a lovely show today. The Movie Sphere people have inspired me to stream myself. We talk movies and filmmaking. I hope you will leer. All right, Hilariously Awful Productions. Give them a subscribe. Check out their channel. I will do so as well. Beerosaurus Rex. Regarding that Trey and Matt clip, I'm confused. Where do I fit activism and a self-insert into that approach? Well, the point is that you don't. Hilariously Awful back here for another 5. Hilarious Awful Productions, which you're going to subscribe to. P.S. We go live on YouTube and Rumble Thursdays at 9 p.m. Y'all are welcome to be guests anytime. P.S. I love the Critical Doggo, but Alan's pup is goals. There you go. It's Mike Boland. We could do an Alan dog cam, a Molly cam.
Yeah. Well, unlike Critical Doggo, Molly won't just sit there. She has to move.
Molly kind of goes around and is like, getting ready for treats here. Kellraiser for $4.99. Practical effects are the best. I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the problem with a lot of the modern digital effects is that editors don't cut away quickly enough. Truth be told, a lot of the effects in the original Star Wars were not great. What made them great was the fact that they were on screen for so short of a time that your brain and the sound filled in your imagination what it was. Marsha Lucas was so smart when it came to editing the original Star Wars. She knew just don't show the effects very long. If you cut away quickly, you don't notice that a lot of the effects are bad. I
remember Discovery, I think, had a weekly show about movie magic, and there was an episode on Star Wars, and they just pointed out all the problems, all the artifacts and remnants that Lucas ultimately removed digitally, but it wasn't clean. And I think the asteroid sequence in Empire, you had a scene that required 200 elements that were shot separately, and even then they couldn't get it perfect.
Yeah. And a lot of it, like if it wasn't color timed correctly, you'd see the matte lines like this. I'm glad they corrected those. I don't agree with any of the changes in the special editions. I think none of them improved anything. But yeah, practical effects are the best, Kellraiser. Hey, people are very generous today. Sons and Shadows gifted 5 Film Threat memberships. Hey, new members, join us on Discord and keep an eye on that tab. I got some special content coming over the holidays. I'm going to have time to do some stuff for our
one day. We're going to do gaming either on the Discord.
You and I are gaming over the holidays.
Okay.
We're going to do a gaming stream over the holidays. And I've been promising this for a while. I'm going to do a little tour of a lot of my collectibles, but I can't do it in one video. I have too much stuff. I'm going to do it in parts. So I'll show you like short videos of like parts of my collection and kind of my philosophy behind collecting. And that'll be for members only. Yeah. John Thomas, the new ones have an idiotic premise. Was there a plague that wiped out 90% of humanity or something? This is talking about Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
90% of humanity or something, because bearing that no one could a few thousand apes just no way.
No way could a few thousand apes
destroy humanity. That's true. Yeah, basically there was a plague. That's that's the new timeline, I guess. Z says the problem with Planet of the Apes for me was they all looked the same unless they were a different type or different clothes, the androgyny. Yeah.
Well, and then I think that trailer points this out perfectly. What is the story? Well, the story from all the
we
other
haven't seen what the story is. Hey, and Kelraiser, member for 8 months, says sequel fatigue. Kind of with you. Alan Horkin says Apes was all based on a French social satire. Doesn't seem like there is much of an allegory left here. That true.
Sounds racist, by the way.
The original book was written by Pierre Boulle, and the apes in the book are much more advanced. They had helicopters. In fact, if you get like the behind the scenes documentary, they did this whole makeup test, which was terrible, by the way. And Charlton Heston's actually in the makeup test. He was part of that production and cared quite a bit about it. John Thomas says, for 5, says, what's y'all opinion of the Fall Guy remake with Ryan Gosling? Looks interesting. I watched that trailer on my flight. It looks freaking hilarious. I like it. Here's my problem with the trailer. It showed too much of the movie. And so there's like the trailer's 3 minutes. It should have been 90 seconds and just give you a taste of what he's a stunt man who goes on this, gets involved in like a real action story. And I thought the trailer was great. Emily Blunt is really good. She's like the director. He's the stunt man, and they have kind of a past. I thought the trailer looked really fun, and then it kept going after 90 seconds. Really huge mistake, but it looks, you know what? It looks super fun. Just what we need, a breath of fresh air. I'll go see it. Alan, did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Moving on.
Yep.
Thank you, John. Hey, it's me in HD, the Sisterhood of the Traveling Bene Gesserits. Greasy Guido says it wouldn't be a proper film threat if Chris can't spoil the film out of his own excitement. What are you talking about?
You've not only spoiled the next Dune movie, but you've spoiled the next 3 Dune movies.
These books were written in the 60s. So a version of these movies was made by David Lynch in 1984. There is a mini series on the Sci-Fi Channel, which you can find on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not
I've seen them, yes.
Greasy, I get worked up over this stuff, and I feel like a lot of people are just trying to get a rise out of me. But I appreciate it. Aaron Taylor is a member. The Marvels, Cineplex, Young, and Dundas. Oh, I know where that is, in Toronto. 3 showings have a total of 9 tickets sold so far. Ooh, that's bad.
Is that on Yonge Street?
Yeah, Yonge Street. Oh, I know where that is. When I used to go to the Toronto Film Festival, when I felt welcome there. I don't feel so welcome anymore. I've actually applied for credentials and they've rejected me. There might be a reason behind that. I'll tell the story.
They let me in. So
I was banned from the Toronto Film Festival back in the 80s. And I think some people there still remember.
Yeah. And when the Film Threat documentary comes out.
And by the way, it became a national news story. These journalists that were banned. And then I found a way to get back in and tricked them to get revenge. It's in the Film Threat documentary. It's coming out someday. Today, McDonald's is like visiting a cardboard box, says MK Solid for 199. Thomas Pickett, thank you for that. For 5, says the original Planet of the Apes had a great plot line that all sequels drop. They realized their religion was wrong. I love all that stuff with they basically rewrote the Bible, but with apes, and created this character, this person called the Lawgiver. All right. It's kind of like things when they just remake a lot of movies today. They don't even retitle it. They just call it Halloween. They're remaking everything from culture and just replacing it. Read into that what you will. Let's see. Thanatophoric became a new member. Well, thank you for that. And Thomas Pickett for 5 says the Fall Guy movie needs the Fall Guy theme from the TV show. That would be cool. I would like that. Why not? And from Rumble, I can't wait to see the Film Threat documentary premiere at TIFF. Pretty sure that's never going to happen.
I know. You got to submit it to Tim.
I'll submit it, but I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. Now it's time to talk about the Marvels. The Marvels is coming out, and I have something. Well, first of all, the Marvels is coming out a week from today. Alan and I are going to go see it. A few things to discuss. Alan bought tickets and got the best seat in the house.
Yes.
This is
right there. This is the IMAX. This is my IMAX theater.
The local IMAX. What is the name of the theater?
It's the Yorba Linda Edwards.
The Yorba Linda Edwards Theater in IMAX. Alan got his ticket for November 9th. What time is the show?
It's at 11 at night.
Oh, it's at 11 at night.
Yeah, because
okay,
I'm seeing Wish in Hollywood that before it. And so
okay.
Book it after that.
All right. So there you go. Alan got the one seat, but you bought it like this week.
Yeah, I bought it on Wednesday when you showed this on Nerdrotic.
All right. Well, Alan got his seat. If you want to sit next to Alan, you know where he's sitting. But let's talk about where the Marvels is right now. This is a real video that was shared. Ms. Peacoffee is going to probably like this. This is the Marvel YouTube channel shared this thing. They're doing what they did is it says the name of this video is The Fun with Flurkins. It's a cat cafe lounge. They basically showed a video of 8 hours of cats. And then what they did is they did unboxings of the Marvel's merch that is debuting, along with the premiere of the Marvels. This is how
appear on clearance shelves in just a few months.
By the way, we last week we showed you the trailer for Infinity Paws. This is also what they're showing on the Marvels channel. It's just anyone who's been to a cat cafe, which I would assume that Ms. Peacoffee goes to cat cafes. She just confirmed it. I can see her off camera. She just
thumbs
said
up right there. Is that her thumb that went up? Or
huge thumbs up about going. This ran for 8 hours yesterday. I'm sitting here, I'm getting on my flight, I'm kind of downloading. I love this feature. If you pay for YouTube, it's not that expensive. You can actually download videos and then I watch them on my flight. So I'm looking at am I going to download? It's 8 hours and it was live. I couldn't believe it. So let's get to one of the unboxings of merch here, which is kind of crazy. What is it? It said the countdown 5 minutes. So let me just go 5 minutes ahead here, around here. And we're going to look at, what's that? I got to find it. Okay. I muted it. What is this? Is this the unboxing?
Okay.
No, they're giving treats. This ran for 8 hours. Now, I'm not going to lie. I actually do kind of like, I do kind of like relaxing streams with where they show things like a fireplace or waves coming on a beach. What are they unboxing? Can you see?
I think it's cats are into the tissue paper, the sound of the tissue paper.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. This ran for 8 hours, 1 minute and 50 seconds yesterday. Now, whatever. Okay. So here's an unboxing. They're unboxing something here. This is later on in the video. And the cats, of course, they've got all the Captain Marvel branding. And this is what it's like to actually open presents when real cats are around.
So you realize what's going on? They've not only alienated men from the Marvels, they've alienated dog owners from the Marvels.
Right. I'm just scrubbing through this, and okay, I guess is that the?
I think that's the unboxing right there.
Okay, that was the unboxing. All right, let's see if there's more here. They're doing trivia. What is Captain Marvel's real name in the movie? Is it Mary Denver, Carol Danvers, Wanda Maximoff, Natasha Romanoff? Well, that one's easy. Mary Denver.
And now they think we're stupid.
No, it's Carol Danvers. I know that. Yeah, so I guess what is it? All right, they're doing stats on the cats themselves. So there you go.
Oh, did
All
you,
right,
you
there's
see
another...
the unboxing timer in the upper
Yes.
right?
Oh, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
4 minutes so we can get the next unboxing. So this is how they're promoting the movie. This isn't, first of all, it's a very cheap thing to produce. I guess they've got some Funkos here. They got some Funkos. We'll go back to that. This is how they're promoting it. There's a Nick Fury, but it's the Nick Fury from the Marvels. So there you go. We have special guests coming on in about 10 minutes, but Alan, let's talk about what is your anticipation? We've had a couple scenes leak from the Marvels. Should we look at those?
Is it leaked or is it
Not leaked? It's released by the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at one of those scenes.
I mean, these are legally released clips, you're saying. That won't get us stricken.
Yes.
Well, I mean, look, this is smart on Disney's part. The last thing Disney needs to do is pour a lot of money into the marketing of this movie. And if you could do something cheap and interesting like this, with and spend very little money on it, it's do it, because they should not be putting out any more commercials. They should not be they shouldn't be spending anywhere near $1 million promoting the film.
All right, are you ready to watch
money wasted? Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready to watch this clip? You have not seen this.
No.
Here's why I watch clips. I'll watch clips. I'll go, as soon as that clip comes on, I'm going to the bathroom because I've already seen it. Pro tip from a guy who has to go to the bathroom at least once a movie. Here we go.
I don't like that name.
What? Okay, Alan, your thoughts?
How long is it? Hour 45. How the mighty have fallen.
All I can say is this: it just looks like a fun Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
I think if I saw this on Disney Plus, I'd be like, well, that was dumb. Not for me, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like Ms. Marvel, it's a Disney Channel show. This is a Disney Channel.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that actress who plays Ms. Marvel. I'm not gonna lie, I like that actress.
Yeah.
But we'll be talking about it next week, and we will be talking spoilers when we discuss it. So no, I want to hear no complaints.
This is a horrible way to display this Funko.
All right, let's go to your comments and questions before our special guests arrive here soon.
What is she doing to that box?
That is okay. What are you doing?
What is that? Why?
That is bizarre. All right, that's weird behavior. Lori Ormond says, "I will buy the ticket right in front of you." Oh, Lori, you should totally do it.
Yeah,
it's at
just don't stand up during the whole movie.
No, do it, and then bring something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, be on your phone while you're at it.
Bring something that's in like Saran wrap, so it like crinkles, like like some Raisinets or something, and has the crinkly. Here's the rule on that. I want to give a rule. This is me. I get angry about lots of little things. Open it during not even during the trailers. Open it before you get there. Crack it open, whatever. The movie has started. You are sitting in the theater. You had time to walk from the refreshment stand to your seat. You have time as you're doing that. You can multitask. unwrap your Raisinets, take the crinkled packaging off on your walk from the refreshment stand to your seat. Multitask, folks. Lori Ormond, I expect you to do that. I'll buy the ticket right in front of you. From Rumble, let's see. Winter Soldier Sub Supporter says, sit next to Alan with extra butter popcorn. John Thomas for 5 says, speaking of cats, have y'all seen the channel Owl Kitty? He green screens his cat into major movies. Hilarious. I've seen that channel. It's hilarious. I love it. He green screens his cat into like scenes from big movies. And it's really funny. Fletcher Williams, I suck at games channel. Fletcher Williams, always good to have you here. Who's also a member. $1 billion company through that. Though this would get people to see their movie. I don't know.
This is more likely to get people to see the movie than anything they've done.
$1 billion company thought this would get people to see their movie. Sorry about that. Read your comment wrong here. Gun Ho Max says live cat videos will have more viewers than the Marvels. Well, we'll see. What are the views on this thing? They're catering to that huge demographic of cat ladies who clearly watch all the Marvel content. That's probably true. It's probably definitely true. Let me see how many views this has. 93,000 views. Not bad. It's going to make 100,000 easy. It's not bad. For something like that, why not? Let's see here. Imagine if they utilize Brie Larson's cleavage for the men. Those MCU costumes are horrible. They might as well wear burqas. It's outrageous, Chris, says MK Solid for $4.99.
I mean, Wonder Woman right now.
Wonder Woman's hot. She has a mini skirt. Thomas Pickett for 5. When an exec watched this, it would have been cheaper to burn the money in a fireplace. It can happen. And then SP of the North says, is it the music from Robin Hood? Yeah, that music is terrible. I don't know why they use that. Spoilers don't exist on this channel. As we all know, there is nothing to spoil. Well, it depends on what the movie is, right? Like Dune, obviously the book has been around since 1965. The David Lynch movie since 1984. The Sci-Fi Channel show was in the early 2000s, I believe. You know, I try to be good with spoilers, try to like, if it was in the trailer, that's fair game. I did see, by the way, I saw the new Hunger Games movie. I can talk about it next week. And my opinion about it will surprise you. Rachel Zegler is in the film, and I have thoughts.
Weird. Well, I saw Saltburn when I should have been watching Dream Scenario instead.
How is Saltburn? Are you going to talk about it today?
I can't talk about it for 2 weeks, but it's the whole movie is one spoiler after the other. One reveal after the other. Oilers Workshop for $9.99. Just wanted to support 2 of the many YouTubers successfully following the Mystery Science Theater model. Everyone just watching videos, reading articles, and cracking jokes, and I'm here for it. Well, thank you. Thank you, Oilers Workshop. We appreciate it. We don't normally do this. Normally, we review films. I just think that there are a lot of news stories that are worthy, and because there are very few big films opening. You know, the films we review tend to be on the smaller indie side. You know, we'll talk news stories. So we're doing news stories, and then we'll do reviews. We've got a couple films that we can review for the end of the show. I mean, Freelance opened this weekend.
Oh, we reviewed Freelance already. Did the review run on our channel?
I think so.
It's one of the worst movies of the year.
Yeah.
By the way, Freelance starring John Cena is awful. We reviewed it a couple weeks ago because it was like the Monday mystery movie. Oh, by the way, Alan, I don't know what you're doing Monday. The rumor is the Monday mystery movie is The Marvels at AMC. AMC is now doing the mystery movie thing.
Oh, are they? Okay. It'll probably be Freelance again, but
yeah. Rudy for 2 says, gonna make sure I crinkle my Raisinets with Chris. Never do that. And then Mike MC Wong, I like how you skillfully silent opening of that bag of M&Ms in the middle of watching Hunger Games. Mike, I was sitting next to you and it was silent. I was cognizant of my neighbors and not disturbing their experience of watching Rachel Zegler. I made it a point to be very quiet when I opened those M&Ms. And by the way, I shared those M&Ms with you, Mike. And Mike, Mike gave me so generous. Mike MC Wong, not just with his parties and hanging out at Yard House and Mike MC Wong is part of our movie meetup group, but Mike gave me a ride to the airport and is picking me up on Monday. And Mike, if you're game, Mike, I've got a movie we could go to when you pick me up. Let me know. We'll talk. So we could have an adventure on Monday. Mike MC Wong, it'd be like a weird buddy cop film. Mike, the adventures of Gore and MC Wong. Chris has issues with crunchy noises, apparently, says Laura Buckles. Yes, crunchy bush, crinkly paper. Those things concern me. They bother me. So
I learned my lesson at the Hollywood Bowl.
The Hollywood Bowl's different. That's an outdoor venue. Look,
I know, but they hear everything, and especially when you're watching a classical concert.
Well,
you can't even chew popcorn at the Hollywood Bowl without bothering people.
What, do people get upset? I think people have been pretty chill.
But the thing is, I mean, even I heard myself chewing popcorn at the Hollywood Bowl.
I think it depends on what it is. Like that movie Anatomy of a Fall was very quiet. So I heard Taylor Swift the whole show. Yeah, that was not a good experience. Oddly, to watch this intense French thriller with Taylor Swift playing in the background. Not great. So what can you say? In any case, all right. It looks like a couple other comments here. And then we're gonna pivot. We're gonna start reviewing movies because our special guest hasn't arrived. If our special guest doesn't get here, maybe we'll just do film reviews. Let's see. Paulie's always like, he likes to say things that are like Latino Slant says, "Sup, Mike Wong, don't pick him up."
By the way, Paulie, my interview with Eugenio Derbez is on the Film Threat interview channel right now.
Yeah, this is a quick reminder. We have 2 spin-off channels from Film Threat. One, we just post movie trailers, a new movie trailer every day, a lot of small indie movies. Check that out. And our interviews channel is just clips and also exclusive interviews that are done only for that channel. Alan does a great job. Oh my God, the interview you did with the filmmakers from Holy Frit.
Yeah.
I can't believe how good that was.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, Alan he's really good at that.
By the way, I mean, like Radical comes out today as well. We reviewed it already, but I got to interview the star, Eugenio Derbez, who is one of the, one of Mexico's greatest actors working today. And we talked comedy, and then I know I did a good job when he says, when I asked him a question about comedy, and he says, "Oh, I never thought about it that way." and we went into this thing about basically dramatic actors who started their careers as comedians, and why comedians make great dramatic actors, and it's worth listening to or watching.
Nicholas Vargo is a member for $9.99. He's always very generous with us. I appreciate it, Nicholas. Did you guys get a chance to see the re-release of Dawn of the Dead this past week? It was playing at select Regal theaters, and it was a fantastic presentation. I feel bad if you guys missed out. I did miss out. I wasn't aware of it. I am more of a Fathom Events guy. I don't know if this was Fathom Events. I just bought tickets to see Scarface in re-release with Al Pacino, and also Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Oh, by the way, Terrifier 2 has been re-released in theaters, so you can watch Terrifier 2, and if you go, you'll get one of these.
Oh, look at that!
Terrifier 3.
Oh, wait, let's wait. I got to put you full screen, Alan.
There you go. You like that little mask he's wearing?
Whoa, that's if you go to see Terrifier 2.
Yeah, you'll get this poster.
Oh my God, that's
Now,
awesome.
now I saw Priscilla, and I asked him, "Can I have that poster?" And they gave it to me.
Well, there you go. All right, back to our cats.
I could only get through half of Terrifier 2.
Here we go. Real quick from John Harrison. You need a theater etiquette video before every movie instead of Nicole Kidman's AMC video. Well, if they did an etiquette video, that would be weird, because then here's what it depends on what screening I'm at. I kind of suss out the audience and kind of like see like who's here. I want to make sure there's no kids, but I'll yell right before the final line. This is the Nicole Kidman video that's at AMC. And this is my warning to people. Do not do this. Do not do this thing that I've done in a theater, which is I'll yell, "Are your nipples hard?" And then Nicole Kidman says, "They are." It's great. It's great.
You say that just as a guest arrives in the
perfect. It's perfect timing. That's not our guest. I think that might be the publicist on behalf of the film.
Yeah, no, I think it's
the show. Let's see. Mike MC Wong says, "I am definitely game. We'll buy you lunch at Pasadena Sandwich Company if you've never been there. Hope you are not too tired Monday when I pick you up. Definitely doing AMC Mystery Movie too." All right. Well, there you go. Mike, let's talk on text, not on chat, on during the live show. Message me later, Mike. We'll make a plan. Okay. All right. Moving on.
By the way, I think if you could do a thing on next Saturday, the 11th, I might be able to head out to Santa Clarita on that day.
Alan, would you just
what? Just look. I would love to go, but Santa Clarita is a commitment.
Well, no, we'll arrange. We have to have you. You have to come out for sure, 100%. So it's all good.
I do.
Hey, please, guys, wait. Please, guys, enough with the cats. I can't take it anymore. Okay, we're going to vote. Do we keep the cats on or not? Yes. Y in the no poll, just Y in the chat for yes, N in the chat for no. No cats. And just impromptu, Alan, I'll let you make the call. From Rumble, a Rumble rant here from Matt G. Hammond, who's a sub-supporter for 2. The NYU clip touched on what you were talking about on the Nooner. Glad you saw it. If only we could get Matt, Trey, or both of them on Film Threat to discuss this. Their next special. I'd love to interview those guys. I've met them. I have been to, they did a thing when they were at the Sundance Film Festival. They did a parody of the Sundance Film Festival called Lap Dance. So there you go. Spidey Sensei 72 says, show footage of Alan's dog to balance out all this cat footage. We showed it earlier in the show. We showed Alan's dog. So there you go. But our special guests, I think, are going to be here. I don't know. I don't see them yet. Alana Cass says, I'm a rep. All right. Well, that's great. That's awesome. Where are they? We're gonna continue. Okay, what do people in the chat say? I want to know. What are the comments saying? Is it yes or no? People are saying more cats. These cats aren't even doing anything interesting. I think it's mostly no. It's mostly no.
Although Razorburn is bombing the chat with no's. So
I don't know. It's maybe they want to see Alan's dog. They want to see Alan's dog.
I know.
All right, I'll take it off. I'll take it off temporarily. Here. Yeah, where's your dog?
I just showed you. She's right there.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we're waiting for our special guests. While we do that, let's reset. We're gonna reset, folks. We have special guests, and then we're going to continue to review films. And there you go. Oh, I just got word. X-Ray Girl is going to LA Comic Con.
Hi, Dad. I miss you.
So there you go. So, okay.
We'll meet.
All right.
We'll get to meet for the first time.
All right, we're gonna pivot. We're gonna do a quick interview, like 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to continue reviewing films. Let me get that.
And she is the first female action hero ever in a movie.
Well, look, he's 19 years old, she's 32.
Whoa!
What is that? That is crazy, Alan.
Yeah. It's Bella Thorne.
Yeah, I know. But here we go. All right. Welcome to the show. Graham and Parker Phillips, thank you for joining us today. Your movie Rumble Through the Dark is it out in theaters now?
Yes, came out today. It's out in theaters, limited release for a week, and then it goes on to on demand on the 10th.
Congratulations on the movie. Now, am I assuming correctly you're brothers?
Yes. What gave it away?
It was the glasses and the last name. But congratulations on the film. We've got over 500 people watching live on YouTube. Tell our audience what your film is about.
Parker, why don't you take it away? Yeah, it's a story about an aged bare knuckle fighter who is trying to salvage the family home of his dying foster mother before it's too late. And his problem is he owes a lot of money to this woman named Big Mama Sweet. And Big Mama is basically queen of the Mississippi Delta Vice. And unfortunately for our fighter, Jack, played by Aaron Eckhart, Big Mama wants him to fight in her cage one last time. So, you're going to have to see the movie to see if Big Mama is successful in that or not. But yeah, we're really excited about it.
Well, it's also important to note that the film stars Aaron Eckhart, who is a phenomenal actor. I mean, he's played everything he's played dramatic roles. He's played, he was obviously Two-Face, Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, probably one of the greatest superhero films ever made. He's also played Frankenstein, right? Frankenstein's monster. How did you get Aaron Eckhart to be in the film?
Well, we actually had a hard time casting the role because he's just, he's got these. It's funny when you read a script or a novel, which we read the novel that the film's based on, and a lot of times you'll have an actor in your head when you're adapting it or whatever. We really didn't have that, and when it came down to casting it, we're like, well, he's got to have. He was abandoned as a child. That's where a lot of his turmoil comes from. So it's very important to see this child living in this man. This vulnerable person who feels like they still have to fight to take up the square inches that they inhabit in their life. So that was very important. But on the other hand, needed to be someone who has this drive and this this tenacity and is also likable, because he's a guy who's living in a lot of pain, but we have to have these moments where he, you get a sense of the child that he once was. And our producer, Cassian Ellis, mentioned Eckhart, and we both were just like, yes. And it's wild because we hadn't actually seen him do anything like this. It wasn't like, oh, of course he's done that, so you plug and play again. But we just, I don't know, we had an inkling that he had something to say, had something to prove, just like this character. And there's a side of him that we hadn't really been able to see as an audience before. And thankfully we were right. And he called us, and so much of the story spoke to him, about like what it's like to have the odds stacked against you, and, to fight for what feels like home, and have really been through the ringer. And he's sort of, Jack Boucher, it's sort of, when you're at this level of bare knuckle fighting, it's sort of gladiatorial, you're like the sacrificial lamb going out to slaughter every single time. And honestly, Hollywood can be a place just like that. I mean, it's filled with so many broken hearts, and it's just, it can eat you up. And I think that, from our discussions, he was able to, tap into that, because this industry can be sort of brutal. And so I think that all kind of swirled around to give him a really powerful performance and a really strong connection to this character.
Well,
Then I have to then ask you about Bella Thorne, because you know, you get former Disney Channel star, but she seems to be going down this independent film route. What was it? How did you get her, and what was it like working with her?
Yeah, you know, a producer suggested Bella, and you know, we were at that point, we were weeks out from starting to shoot, and we just hadn't really wrapped our head around who was the perfect person to play Annette. And Bella's character in this, you know, she works for this kind of outlaw traveling carnival that's traveling up and down the Mississippi Delta, stopping at all these small towns. And she's in search for her father in the movie. And we just, you know, we had a meeting with Bella, and Graham and I, you know, we try and, as young directors, we always try and over prepare so we can answer every question, because we live in fear of, you know, having to say, I don't know, which, you know, we've now learned is actually okay to say sometimes. But when we jumped on the meeting with Bella Thorne, she just, well, first of all, we didn't really know what to expect. And she comes on the video and she's wearing the silk robe. She got a big blunt in her hand. And, you know, she's in like Italy, and there's like this gorgeous Italian countryside behind her. And we're going like, what the hell is going on here? You know, we had no idea what to expect. But yeah, she just, I mean, look, she just floored us with how much she knew about this character. I mean, as directors, your hope is that you have this idea of the character, and then eventually you find someone who you get to release it to, and then it actually becomes, you know, it becomes their problem in a way. You know, they're now the director of their own character, and it's our job to protect, you know, their vision and what their soul wants to, you know, say through this character. And normally that happens later on in the process, but with Bella, it happened right from the get-go. She knew exactly who this character was. She had a lot of similarities with this character, the polarities of, you know, the guardedness, you know, with that sort of, you know, her walls of like her tenacity and like her, you know, really knowing what she wants and being a force of nature, but also, you know, having this vulnerable, sensitive side. And she had a great chemistry with Aaron Eckhart, like from the very beginning. You know, their first scene we shot, it was just immediately they just, you know, and Aaron looked at us. Aaron would give us this like nod because he wouldn't say much on set. You could tell like he was really happy, and she had never worked with Aaron before, and she was really happy. And that's, you know, you can't manufacture that chemistry, especially not an independent film, and you're shooting it quick. So the fact that they had that from the get-go, that was huge.
And a question about Aaron Eckhart. I think he's such a physical actor. He's so, I mean, he's one of those actors that he acts with his whole body, right? He transforms his body, right? I first became aware of him in the 1997 film In the Company of Men, which played at the Sundance Film Festival. That movie, huge controversy at the time when that movie came out. And we interviewed Neil LaBute about that. I'm just curious if you're familiar with more of his work and like what he brings to the table. Like, what is it like to work with Aaron Eckhart? He's just someone, you know, if he's in a film, it's at a level of quality. The fact that he just decided to be a part of it.
Yeah, he, you know, we talked about Neil LaBute with him, you know, we first sat with him, and, you know, Graham and I come from the theater world. So it was really, you know, we loved the fact that Aaron had that background, and he just, as you said, he puts a lot of thought into what roles he chooses. And he really was attracted to this, I think, as my brother said, because it spoke very personally to him. And I think, and I agree, there are you know, every actor has a different way of how they get into it. And I would say Aaron does get into it physically. The first time I met Aaron, because we had all these phone conversations, but I heard that he'd come to Mississippi. I knew he was around Mississippi, staying in our town. I hadn't seen him yet, and I went for a run, and I saw this guy, you know, sitting on this lawn chair trying to get sun, reading a script, and I thought, I guess that maybe is him, but he didn't look like him. And he stood up and he already was in the character, and you could tell it changed you know, he kept changing it until we got on set, but he was immediately inhabiting the physicality of this character. And you know, it's based on a book, and chapter 2 of the book just talks about the toll of what 30 years in a cage for a bare knuckle fighter might be physically, emotionally, and mentally. And I think that really was a great roadmap for Aaron as an actor, just to say, wow, like I have to inhabit all this. And he took that very seriously. And, you know, on set, you know, most people, like when you yell cut, will go sit in a director's chair or go get a snack or, have a drink or whatever. Aaron, when you yelled cut and he had a little bit of time, he'd go back to his truck, he'd either do bicep curls, he'd shadow box, or he'd go to the grip truck and he'd ask the grip guys for sandbags, and he'd pile sandbags onto his shoulders just so he could feel the weight of what that toll of 30 years in a cage might be. So you said it. The physicality for him is everything, and it was everything for this role too.
And you'll see it at the end of the film. I mean, in the big final fight, with few exceptions, it's him doing everything. And it feels real because he's really doing it, because he really trained to actually do it. He wasn't training to look like he could do it. He was training so that he could actually do it. Which there's a difference. There's a lot of actors who they're like, I know I can get to this plateau of believability. And he just wasn't even interested in that. He was on a completely different wavelength.
We've got some questions from our audience here. So we'll get through as many of these that we can. And here we go. The first question from the nerd far away. Hail Phillips brothers. Who are your favorite authors?
We love, Cormac McCarthy. I mean, we love Southern Gothic lit, which is probably what led us to read Michael's book.
Yeah, McCarthy, Faulkner,
Tennessee Williams plays.
Yep.
I think Orpheus Descending is one of my favorites.
Wow.
Yeah, Sam Elliott's kind of, I would say, a modern day, take on kind of the literature we like. But yeah, I mean, that's what brought us to this world. We were in search of a Southern Gothic story to tell. We were so attracted to it. And then we found The Fighter, written by Michael Farris Smith.
Nerd Far Away goes on to ask, your comment about how brutal this industry is prompts the question, how do you cope with overcome the brutality?
That's a really good question. It's hard because you have to be bulletproof in some ways, and then but you can't get so cynical that you're not showing up with with your heart.
You got to find your family.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier for us in some ways because at the end of the day, we have each other to fall back on. It can be so isolating when you're sort of pulled in these two directions of like, I want to be in this industry because I want to share a piece of myself. I want to tell a story. I want to connect with people. And then on the other side, if you go through this industry that open, you're not going to last very long because it'll swat you right down. I don't know. How do we deal with it? I guess taking time outside of the industry and like getting away from it all and making sure that to have like, social media distance every now and then, and to not, I did a film with David Duchovny called Goats a long time ago. And it was a film that we were really proud of. And the reviews some of them were so brutal. And it was my first experience with that. And he was like, there's really never any good that comes from, looking at the reviews. Like he sat me down. He's like, he's like, a long time ago, I learned all that matters is, are you proud of what you did? And the rest is bullshit. And so I think that, being able to talk to people who've been through this industry and survived, that's huge.
Question here from Bushin Ryu Cat for 5. For the Phillips, as brothers, how do you decide on a scene if you both disagree on it? Bare knuckle brawl? Joking, but does it happen sometimes?
It's a cake fight, right?
Yeah.
Bare knuckle brawl. I mean, if someone filmed us having a bare knuckle brawl, it definitely would not sell a lot of tickets unless it's, but I think, Graham and I, when we disagree, when we're developing the script, we'll sometimes take it to the tennis court, which is always hilarious. And we'll try and compete in some way.
It's not so funny at the time. It's funny looking back at it, but actually it's super heated
because and also that's important because we'll be in a room and we'll be arguing about something, and most of the time what we're arguing about never even maybe makes it into the movie, or much less makes it into the edit, or it didn't even matter to begin with. But we'll always try and get outside and compete in some way.
I mean, really, it's just about like getting our blood pumping, because if you're two brains in a room, eventually you start going crazy and you lose a sense of what the stakes actually are, because at the end of the day, it's we're telling a story. We're playing cowboys and Indians. We're gathering around the campfire and just shooting the shit.
I think you're saying that stepping back helps bring perspective to the small issues.
Yeah, well said. And I will say that, with this experience making this film, because it was an adaptation of a novel and Michael, who wrote the novel, wrote the screenplay, there was that third person kind of from the beginning who was there as far as developing the script. And I think Kurosawa said, things are always good in threes creatively because you can break a tie. And so that was a new experience for my brother and I. We really enjoyed it.
Question here, or this is actually a comment from Don Ranger Power says, I have enjoyed Graham Phillips as Prince Eric in ABC.
Oh, that was you.
Is that you?
Yeah, it was me. I was actually wearing a shirt very similar to the one that kind of looked like Prince Eric. No, I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
That was a good production. Yeah.
Razor Burn asks, Graham, since you have experience in theater, will you ever consider directing a theater play one day?
I actually have one. I did the first amateur production of the musical Once, which I did in college. It was two of my friends' thesis. I directed. I loved it. Park and I have talked about this. We're super attracted to it. I mean, there's a huge fundamental difference in the process of what it's like to be a storyteller when you're directing theater versus directing a film. We've been working on this film for two and a half years. And we've sort of, we've been parsing it down and it folds into itself. And at the end of the day, you go and you gather all of these elements when you're in production, and then you edit it and you try to sort of create almost the illusion of presence and this vitality and this importance and the stakes and everything. And it takes you so long. And then you present this thing way after the fact. And the actors have already moved on to 2 or 3 other projects. And, you're still there holding the flag, of the project. But in theater, there's not really an editing process. You're sitting there in the audience and you're seeing if it works or not. And it either works or it doesn't work. And you can tell that immediately. And the story is being told at the same time that it's being received, not being told over the course of, sometimes years, until it finally gets diluted down. So it's just fundamentally a different experience.
That'd be a nice change of pace for us. I'd like that.
Yeah.
This is a question from Rumble. We're live on Rumble. Adellis24 asks, Cassian Elway's name always seems to come up in interviews on Film Threat. Well, that's because Cassian is kind of a legendary indie film producer and a manager and agent. And I've known about Cassian Elway's all the way back to the 90s. He was Adam Rifkin's manager. So Cassian Elway, he's just people who work in indie film. It's a small group, but what was it like to work with such a prominent independent producer? Did you two take the book to him to adapt?
It's actually funny. We read the book and we said we have to have it. And we emailed Michael, the writer, and he said, well, actually, Cassian Elwes already owns the option. And unlike you, Graham and I were just starting out. I didn't know who he was. So, you look him up on IMDb and then you see 120 films come up.
Right.
And oh, God, Graham, how the heck are we going to get this book option from this guy?
And it didn't help from our first call when he's like, look, I have to be honest. I have no idea who you boys are.
That's a great imitation. That's exactly what he sounds like.
Yeah.
He sounds like he comes from royalty.
So,
I think he kind of did.
It's funny. And we pretty much just, we spent the next 5 months trying to convince him that we were the ones to tell it. And eventually, we made it into his office and
we broke him.
We broke him. And so I think he was tired of hearing from us. And then he said, yeah, sure. Go, let's try it. And, we all did it together, and we're really just thankful that he trusted us. And yeah, he is a legend. He was a great help all along the way.
He'll be here at the premiere tonight.
Yep.
Oh, first of all, congratulations on the premiere. That's amazing. And last question here from Solomon Thornton asks, greetings, Sir Graham and Sir Parker. Congrats. Any advice for beginning filmmakers?
Yes. I'd say one of the most important things is finding other people to bounce ideas off of, like other creatives. It's really hard to get into music if you don't create a band. When you're working in isolation, you can forget that all of what we're doing is about the relational field, even your relationship to yourself, but your relationship to other people, and to try to do that alone, at least for me, has been that's been incredibly difficult. So finding your family is huge, which leads to, I guess, my second piece of advice, which is find any way to do it. Don't wait for other people to give you permission. This industry is set up to not give you permission. You just gotta go do it. Even if you're shooting it on your iPhone, even if you're using an old Dell, outdated Final Cut, like just get it made, just to be able to, even just to train yourself that it's okay to dream and have these hopes and to have a creative impulse, because you can actually get to the finish line. Sometimes that's much more important than getting it, a giant release and all the rest, because there are people who can get that and they're still not happy. So just, don't forget, don't leapfrog over the whole reason why we're doing this to begin with, which is, to say something. And to, I just did Sunday in the Park with George at Pasadena Playhouse, and there's this great song about creativity and all the sacrifices we make for it called Finishing the Hat, which Mandy Patinkin sang in the original Broadway version. And at the end of this whole like Sondheim ambivalence of like, gosh, it's like you give up so much, but you get so much, and you're isolated, but you have to be with the people and all this turmoil. The last two lines of it are, look, I made a hat where there never was a hat. Talking about George Seurat, the painter, and his, a hat in his famous painting that he made. And that really dilutes it down for me. Like, the reviews can come in positive, negative. You can become famous. People can want to sleep with you. They can not want to sleep with you. They can do all these crazy things. But at the end of the day, like, you made something where there wasn't something before. And that's about as human as it gets, putting your hand on the side of the cave and going, I was here.
I have this sticker that I have that sits near my computer where I always work, and it just says, make something from nothing. That's what creativity is. I really have to compliment you guys too, because I know you got to go. But one last thing, if I could just share, most filmmakers or people would stop when they see, well, someone else has the rights, I can't make it. You went on IMDb, a public website, and you can register for IMDb Pro. You got Cassian Elway's contact information. You contacted him to get the rights. You didn't know who he was before. I've known about him for years because he's a luminary in the world of indie film. But that is another thing that you did. You didn't let anything stop you from reaching your goals. So just say, I admire what you've done. Congratulations on the film. Have fun at the premiere tonight. Any last words for our audience?
Sure. Based just off of what you're saying and sort of speaking to the advice question, I think people forget until sometimes it's too late. They forget that ignorance can be a superpower. And I think that's especially true in this industry. If you don't know what rules you're not supposed to break or how it's all supposed to work, you can take it right to the top, and good things can happen. So if you're the kind of person who's like, maybe really wants to have a strong sense of propriety and whatnot, I'm not saying don't be nice to people, but don't get too bogged down with the rules and the minutia, because sometimes wonderful things can happen when you just
throw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Rumble Through the Dark premieres tonight, and I assume we'll be on video on demand at some point in the near future. Thank you so much, Graham and Parker. Have a great rest. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun at the premiere. Those are always fun.
We hope so. Thank you so much for having us. This is a real pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. And
Awesome.
Thanks to the audience for the good questions.
Cool. Take care. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Bye now. They were great. I saw you perk up when they mentioned Broadway and
Sunday in the Park with George. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What?
I love that music.
I love that. Those guys were awesome. We're gonna pivot now. And we have so much to discuss today. It's a big day. We have first of all, during that, I have people messaging me saying, "We have your booth. Why are you not on the show floor at Grand Rapids Comic-Con?" I said, I'm live on YouTube. I got to do my YouTube show. I couldn't.
Promoting the con.
I'm promoting the con. If you look, the reason I'm not there is because I'm here. But I will be there in about an hour or so. So give me a moment here. But we're going to get through some film reviews here, and anything that we miss, We will make up for next week. But before we do that, Alan, I think it's super important that you and I check in on the cats and see how the cats are
There
doing.
we go.
Because
ASMR. Oh my god.
ASMR with cats. Okay, let's share the audio then. This is ASMR with the cats. So let's why is there no audio?
You got it, yeah, right. It's like all the stress in me has left. Oh.
It's not, I mean, if you didn't see the visuals of the cats and you only heard it, this could be something from a horror movie. Now they're licking a brush. These cats, they're being brushed with a very close, highly sensitive microphone.
It's the sound cats make when they're. It's the sound cats make when they're eating
And all I
dead
can
master.
say is this: our audience loves this right now. Lori Ormond says, "Oh hell no! ASMR stresses me to no end." Oh my god! Mute horror for me. Suddenly I can smell cat food. That was
This
Dr.
is-
Andrew Sean Hu.
Okay, I'm going to
Oh,
give it
cats
to the
are
Marvels.
brighter
This
than
is the
this.
greatest advertising
The
campaign.
Sons of Shadows. Davina
For-
Duckworth says creepy. Yeah, this is kind of creepy.
Yeah, this is the greatest advertising for a movie ever.
It's the greatest advertising to not see the Marvel.
Oh,
What is that
now
noise?
they don't even know what they're doing.
All right, we're
All
gonna.
right.
Okay, that's enough with the cats. Enough with the cats. But we may check in on them.
Yeah,
But
we just
now
lost 500 viewers.
No, we didn't. But hey, you are going to review Quiz Lady.
Yes.
Let's hear it, Alan.
Yeah,
Tell us
so
about
Quiz Ladies. Quiz Ladies. I look. Aquafina. That's all you need to know. Aquafina's in this movie. So this story of two sisters. Their mother has vanished. She went off with her boyfriend to Macau to gamble it away, but she left a large debt, and the gangsters are now after Aquafina's character and Sandra Oh's character to get the money back, and so the two go, and so without being able to come up with the money, it's about $40,000. We find out that Aquafina's character is a master at the TV game show quiz shows, such as Jeopardy. She knows all the answers. And the bright idea is to travel across the country, get her to an audition for that show, and then hopefully win a lot of money on that show. And so this movie is essentially it's a female road trip between two sisters. And I'll say this: the reason I like this movie is because of the things it doesn't do. This movie is not a woke movie, as you would think. It's just a story of two sisters. Aquafina doesn't play the typical Aquafina character. She plays, very much a throwback to The Farewell, where she's just a normal person who has her own anxieties and just she doesn't. They're scenes played up for laughs, but they're fairly minor. But she's not the annoying, annoying New Yorker with the black accent. And I'll say this, and also the comedy is fairly smart, weirdly this whole production is female led, and it's actually a not bad comedy. It's not the greatest comedy you'll ever see. I think the laughs don't really pick up until halfway through the movie. A lot. So when I say it's a female road trip, the good and the bad is all implied in that. Tony Hale plays a bread and breakfast owner, which is Benjamin Franklin themed, and he plays Benjamin Franklin, and there's a lot of comedy in that. And I think the ending really is to me what got me. It's a very sweet ending. It involves the quiz. Aquafina is up against Jason Schwartzman, who plays this really major douchebag. But Will Ferrell puts in this performance that's very understated, very not what you think of Will Ferrell. he's kind of a mix between Alex Trebek and Mr. Rogers, and so I think ultimately what got me was not a bad comedy, some good laughs, feel good at the end, and it doesn't go down the many roads that we've been going down with comedies, especially female-led comedies, over the last few years. It's just a straightforward take. They're Asian. The movie, yes, they're Asian, but it's not about being Asian, though Asian elements are there. And some of the so-called racist jokes are often at their expense. And so I think if you're a man and if you're white, you're not going to be offended by this movie at all. So, it's a weird review. I would recommend it. I would give it a bare recommendation. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. But if female road trip comedy doesn't appeal to you, then go ahead to take the pass.
All right.
And it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu right now.
I gotcha. Okay. I'm going to review a film. Boy, we're going rapid fire here. We're not wasting any time. I'm going to review a film that I saw. If you love, well, here, let me get to it first. I don't want to say anything until I get to it. If you love Captain America, Steve Rogers, or the actor Chris Evans who plays Captain America, he is in this movie. It's Pain Hustlers, which is currently playing. What? It's Pain Hustlers.
That's the setup. Okay. And if you love Mary Poppins.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. Pain Hustlers is playing currently on Netflix. It is loosely based on a true story about a pain medication that broke the rules. It's the selling of a pain medication. Emily Blunt is also in the film. She plays a young woman who is struggling, literally living in the garage with her daughter, trying to make it as a stripper. So if you want to see Emily Blunt stripping, it's in the very beginning of this film. She ends up finding a client at her strip club named Pete Brenner, played by Chris Evans. He works for a prescription drug company. They've gotten approvals for this drug, which was invented by a doctor named Jack Neal, played by Andy Garcia. They have this small drug company, but even though they've gotten approvals to sell the drug and have it prescribed, all these other types of drugs have taken over the marketplace. This drug is specifically for people dealing with pain from cancer. And Emily Blunt, being a salesperson, because she's kind of a salesperson, working as a stripper, she picked up sales skills, learning to sell herself effectively to men for dances and whatnot. And she cleans herself up, puts on a more business-minded dress, and she ends up selling the first prescription to this drug and then gets doctors behind it. They do these things where they get someone to promote the drug. There's this Dr. James that they work with who gives a presentation, and they get these doctors, they take them out to these vacations in like Hawaii. They get them plastered with alcohol and like shrimp, food like shrimp and steak and lobster. And then they basically sell them on the concept that you need to start prescribing our drug for pain. They end up becoming friends with these doctors. And she then enlists an army of young, attractive women to sell these drugs to doctors. And you see the sort of BS of the prescription drug industry and how, like they've got all this merch that they give the doctors. They become friends with the doctors. And this movie is, I would describe it as, at least in tone, it's trying to be the Wolf of Wall Street, but with prescription drugs. Does that make any sense? So it's like, look, it's a big party. Well, of course, they break a few rules on selling these drugs, and the whole house comes tumbling down. I mean, this is all in the trailer. I thought it was fun. I thought it was very good. This is also one of those things I look at and I think to myself, I would almost rather see a more serious-minded documentary than something like this that's dramatized. And it wants to be Wolf of Wall Street, but doesn't go too far. I will say
the way you're describing it sounds like it's a comedy more than it is
It is.
I think I want to see a Wolf of Wall Street rather than a comedy based on.
Right. What I'm saying is, it is partially a comedy, but it goes down some dark roads because what happens is there's some. I don't want to get into too much detail. There's something wrong with the drug. The problem is if you're prescribing to basically cancer patients that are not going to live very long, you're not going to get a lot of complaints from your clients because they're no longer alive. And so there are all these after effects from all these side effects from these drugs. In fact, there's another movie, I believe it's actually called Side Effects, that deals with this very topic that came out over a decade ago, and it's called Side Effects, and it's about and it was I met the director at the time. This was years ago, but she actually did this job where they get young, very attractive women to be the salespeople. They're the front facing to doctors, and they're flirting with these doctors. They're bringing them gifts. They're talking about their lives. They become friends with them. And by the way, please, write prescriptions to my drug that I'm selling. But this one, it is borderline comedy. But Chris Evans seems to be on a mission to completely erase everything about playing Captain America. As Pete Brenner in the movie, he has this accent, so he's talking like this. He talks completely different. He's kind of a scumbag. He's sort of the scumbag shyster. And just like what can we do? I don't care if it's illegal. Let me worry about that. Let's just close the sales, because the company at the beginning of the movie is bordering on bankruptcy. They have no money. They have nothing, but they're following the rules. So I'll say this: I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It's definitely sort of a you could watch it as a double feature with Wolf of Wall Street. But I think what I did like about the film and appreciate it is it deals with a very serious issue, which these prescription drug companies, they might be a little corrupt. They might be prescribing you drugs you don't need. They might be prescribing you drugs that have side effects that may be worse than the symptoms you're experiencing.
So you're saying that pharmaceutical companies are trying to convince the entire world to take their drug when they know it may not do any good and it may actually hurt you.
Yes.
That seems so far-fetched to me.
And it's a comedy. So look, I'm giving it a recommend, and I was just like, do I want to? I'll check it out. And because this subject interests me. There have been a lot of abuses of these prescription drug companies. What I would like to see in pairing with Pain Hustlers is I'd like to see a documentary. I want to see something that really takes on this topic in a serious way that actually leads to change. Going back, a documentary that came out years ago that I'm a huge fan of, and I ended up becoming friends with the filmmaker, Morgan Spurlock. Morgan Spurlock did a movie called Super Size Me, and he came up with the idea for this movie during Thanksgiving dinner, and the very next year, 1 year from that date, after coming up with the idea for this movie, he got a phone call from Sundance that he was in the festival. True story. I know Morgan Spurlock. I interviewed him in my book, The Ultimate Film Festival Survival Guide. I haven't written an update of that book because I don't know how much you really need that book now. That information's kind of out there. You have things like Film Freeway to get your movie in festivals, whatever. All I'm saying is I know Morgan Spurlock, so he made this movie, Super Size Me. It changed fast food. I mean, it changed the industry where now they put the nutrition information on the. Now, have Americans changed their diets of fast food? Not exactly, but you watch that movie. I've definitely, post that film. I haven't stopped eating fast food, but I have dramatically cut my consumption down of fast food. A couple times a month, it's a treat, but it's something that clearly changed things. There needs to be a documentary that's powerful enough that it changes things. Will it get made? Probably not. The problem with the documentary films that we see these days is they're all funded and have an agenda. Before the filmmaker even finishes making the movie, they've determined what the premise of the movie is, whether it's something on.
Yeah, they determine the outcome of the
correct, whether it's something on the left or whether it's something on the right. So political documentaries are very, very polarized. I'm looking for a documentary filmmaker that's like, I don't know what the truth is. Let's go on a journey together. That's what Morgan Spurlock did. We need more of that. I would like to see Pain Hustlers. I want to know the real story behind Pain Hustlers. And they show the outcomes at the end of what happened to all of the characters. Not going to spoil it because I've already been, scolded earlier for spoiling. I'm saying you'll see the outcomes of this in this story, but how close was the reality to this fictionalized version of the story, which looked like a lot of people had a very good time. It's all the fun parts of Wolf of Wall Street. So there you go. There's my quick take on that movie. Do we have some comments from people? Let's go to our comments here. We have got a couple comments. Let's go to a couple comments here. Frank, do you cut your own hair? Says 105. No. Wolfgang is the guy who cuts my hair. A guy in his room. They're Asian and Alan likes it. No way.
Oh yeah. I watch a lot of white content. Sometimes it's just nice to see your own people in a star in a movie. That's all I'm saying.
You could make the effort, Alan, and you could actually just watch some Asian cinema.
I do. That's my point. I watch all cinema.
Matthew Hammond for $4.99. There's a good series with Michael Keaton called Dope Sick that talks about the opioid crisis that is on Hulu. Yes, I have heard raves about that. Excuse me. It's on my, oh my God. It's on my list. It's on my list to see.
A very long list.
Juxtaposed, does Chris know that they exposed Spurlock for heavy drinking during that Super Size Me documentary? No, I don't know that. I know that he basically canceled himself. But yeah, completely unaware. We're not ready for that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it after the stream, but what about the Netflix series Painkillers? Is it the same? I don't know, and I'll check that out. So there you go. Is this a comedy or drama? I'm confused. I think we talked about that. Says Carlos Alfredo Lopez. And Love and Other Drugs already tackled this subject with a heart over a decade ago. Yes, that I have not seen that. So there you go. I just turned on Netflix and I thought, I like Emily Blunt. I like Captain America. Why don't I watch this movie? And then SP of the North says, right now, Korean cinema is better than American cinema. So there's that.
Yeah. Well, I would say Korean cinema is the most American of Asian cinema.
All right. Let's check on the cats. What?
Yeah, let's check on the cats.
Let's check on the cats.
And by the way, go see the Marvels next week. They could really use your ticket. Your ticket.
Go see the Marvels next week. Look, unboxing in 9 minutes, which means we have to go back. So, all right, Alan, we have more films to review. I told you it was going to be a long show today.
Yep.
Told you it was going to be a long show. Alan, let's pivot and let's hear your review for a film that I'm very interested to see, and I'm not sure if I should see it. It's directed by Sofia Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Priscilla.
So Priscilla is the story of Priscilla Presley. It's based on Priscilla Presley's book, Elvis and Me. And it gets the Priscilla Presley stamp of approval because she is an executive producer of this movie. But essentially the movie is the story of Priscilla Presley and how she, how her love affair with Elvis. So it basically starts off, she's 14 years old. She's a high school student in Germany because her parents are military parents and they're stationed in Germany. And while Elvis is on military tour, he a friend of his sees her, says that she might be Elvis's type, invites her to a party with Elvis. And at this time, Elvis is well known. Father is concerned, but the soldier who is taking her to the party, it convinces him that she will be safe, and the two meet, and Elvis is enamored by her. She listens to him. He's able to talk to him, finds her attractive. She, of course, it's Elvis, so she falls for Elvis, and now she has to continue on with her life, high school, because he's going back to the front, and then when he comes back, he goes back to make movies. And what's interesting about this movie is it's almost 2 hours long, and the first hour is is her at 14, and it moves. The first hour is her finally graduating and getting her high school diploma. And I'm
Oh
like,
my god!
this is amazing. And the you know okay, so this is my issue with the movie. I think the movie, look, Sofia Coppola, accomplished director. I think she did a good job making a biopic based on Priscilla Presley's book, and I think this movie will stand as a testament to the posterity of Priscilla's story, because we've seen many stories about Elvis, many movies about Elvis. We just had one last year from Baz Luhrmann, and this is the other side of that story. And look, I think most people know the story of Elvis, and again, I made this complaint about Killers of the Flower Moon. It's predictable. You kind of know the direction things are going. You know who Elvis is. You kind of it's kind of interesting to see this love struck girl and Elvis and this forbidden relationship. And quite frankly, Elvis, they didn't have sex until long after she graduated from high school, until they ultimately got married. So there's this kind of dynamic going on. She gets jealous every time the tabloids, tells a story about him and Anne Margaret or Nancy Sinatra. When she gets stressed out, there's a pill available for that. And so it does kind of get into the drug use of that. And again, you're kind of ahead of the story as it goes along, and you're just waiting for elements of this story to catch up. Like, when is Elvis going to make his turn? When are things going to go bad? And you're just kind of waiting for that moment to come on. And the other thing about it is the tone. And we talk a lot about directors are managers of tone. The thing about this one is, when you come off of Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, which is high energy, moves quickly, this one is much more subdued. It's low energy. It's kind of like you take this high energy Elvis, you put her in front of Priscilla, and she calms him down, and that this movie becomes this calm kind of Elvis story. And to me, that contributed to my boredom of this movie. I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and I'm definitely in the minority. I'm not a big fan of this movie. I wouldn't recommend the movie. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the tone. It's boring. It's one note. That's the thing I will say. It's one note. A single note is played throughout the entire thing. Look, it's based on Priscilla Presley's story. That's great. And again, her story deserves to be told. But at the same time, it's like if you were to tell my story, it's not exactly the most engaging story you're ever gonna tell. And I think that's the problem here. And I think it reads better as a book than it does as a movie. So yeah, that's my feeling about this. I think you'll be bored.
Well, I didn't get. First of all, that Elvis movie is really good. I really love Austin Butler and his performance in it, and sort of the flip side story, an abusive Elvis preying on a young Priscilla who becomes his wife.
Well, I mean, look, I'll give it credit. Elvis is not exactly a predator here. I think they were in love, and I think they were in love with the wrong reasons. I think there's certainly a starstruckness about it, and but look, in the background here is a casino scene. It's not exactly the most exciting casino scene you're ever going to see.
Well, I'm you know what? I'm going to take your non-recommendation, Alan. I'm going to take it.
Okay.
All right. Let's check in on the cats and see what is going on with.
Oh, we're 3 minutes from the unboxing.
Oh, okay. 3 minutes until the next unboxing. That's fantastic. What should we end on? Have you seen The Holdovers?
I haven't.
Rustin, did you see Rustin?
No.
All right. We're going to end on one. I'm going to get to The Boy and the Heron next week. I'm going to get to it next week.
Yeah, Holdover is in limited release.
Limited release. I'll have seen it by then.
Oh, okay.
So we should both. I hear it's one of the best movies of the year, is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing positive. No, someone said it's the best movie currently in theaters.
Yeah, but it's only in LA. It's not even
only in it. Yeah, it hasn't opened wide yet. We will get to the holdovers. We're going to do one last review. What is going on with these cats? AWOL Flurkin. Is that what it says?
Oh yeah, there's Goose. I think.
Is that the actual goose or the digital goose? All right, we're gonna see. They're doing another unboxing here. All right, here we go.
Is it another Funko?
It's
another Funko.
Who is it?
Who is? I can't see. Is it the villain?
I think you need a close-up of it. I think that's the villain of this movie. Is it or no? I can't.
Or is it Photon? I can't tell. I think it's the villain.
Yeah, it's the villain. Yeah.
Look at that. This presentation is from the school of The Price is Right.
Yeah, pretty much. It is. There you go. All right. We're going to close it out with one last review today, and we will catch up on films that we were going to review. We're going to do that next week. We'll end with a review of a film that, hang on, I got to find it. We're going to end with a review of a film that is currently playing in theaters. It's getting a limited theatrical release, and then you'll be able to see it on Apple TV Plus. This is a movie called Fingernails. Fingernails is, it's described as a drama / sci-fi. It's directed by a filmmaker named Christos Nico. And this film is the story. I would describe it as, it sort of starts as a romance. Jessie Buckley plays a woman named Anna. She is happily married to her husband, Ryan, played by Jeremy Allen White. They're a couple in love, but I sense that there's trouble. She lies to her husband about things that aren't really all that important. And it is a little bit suspicious. They're in love. They go to a dinner party with other couples, and everyone is taking this test to find out if you're 100% compatible and in love. What it involves is ripping a fingernail from the finger of, and you can choose which finger. You rip the fingernail, you take the two fingernails from the couple, you put it in a thing that looks like a microwave, and then determine whether neither person is in love with the other, whether it's a 50% ranking, meaning one person is in love with someone else, but it's not reciprocated, or are you a 100%, meaning both people as a couple love the other one, and it reaches 50 or 100% total. The way that this is done is very low tech, because it literally looks like this movie took place in some sort of timeless era. They use like phones that have cords on them. There aren't cordless phones. It's kind of low tech, and it reminded me a little bit of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, except the humor here is understated. I didn't find this film particularly funny. First of all, I love Jessie Buckley in this. She ends up getting a job at the institute where they conduct this test.
The Love Institute.
The Love Institute, to find out, are you really in love? And the whole thing is, the person who's the head of the institute, played by Luke Wilson, he plays a character named Duncan. He's the head of this institute. He invented this, and basically he's divorced and he wants to end divorce. You should know if you're in love 100%. So he's a scientist trying to deconstruct love. Well, as it turns out, Jessie Buckley's character, Anna, gets a job at the Institute, which she lies to her husband about, eventually confesses this, and she works with a partner. So they work with a couple, and they conduct, the couple who works at the Love Institute conduct these tests. And in these tests, they want to see, like, are you in love? So one of the things they do is people take their clothes off down to their underwear, and someone is blindfolded.
It was like love training. That's
like love training. So they go around and try to find their partner based on smell. They do these tests in a pool, right? They do all these sort of weird in public tests. One of the tests they want to do is have a couple go out in public to see a movie and then start a fire in the movie theater to see how the couple will react. Will they try to save each other? Will they be selfish and save themselves? So they're conducting these love tests that test the couple leading up to the final test, which is the fingernails, to see, are they both 100% in love? Well, of course, Anna, Jessie Buckley's character, kind of starts to fall for her work partner, played by Riz Ahmed. He plays this character named Amir. They're doing all these tests together, spending a lot of time together. You've heard that term, my work husband, my work wife. There are a lot of people that kind of like couple up, or they're like attracted to each other in a platonic way. I've had this experience where you have like someone you work with where you just get along. You have like similar values, you go out to lunch together, and you're platonic friends, legit platonic friends. And they become that, except Anna maybe has a little bit more feelings for Amir than Amir does. I don't want to go into the specifics of what happened at the end, but I'll just say, based on the tone, based on the sort of slow pace of this film, based on the sort of like a lot of the men in the movie just didn't really act like I don't know. They were just sort of a fantasy version of how women would like men to act, not how they kind of really are. It was, I felt like a lot of the men in this film felt a little emasculated to me. If you're going to a love institute to have your fingernails pulled off to determine if you're actually in love, maybe that says something. But it's interesting because you see people redoing the test. They want to make sure they're still in love. And then the movie starts out where people have all these like Band-Aids on their fingers. And you're like, why do people have all these Band-Aids on their fingers? Because everybody's doing this test. Honestly, I can't recommend the movie. I felt like it didn't go the deeper layers I wanted it to go. I really didn't like Jessie Buckley's character, and I love her. She was in Men last year, which I thought was weird and also but worth seeing. I would recommend Men in spite of the fact that it's so freaking weird.
I wouldn't recommend Men at all.
Well, there you go. But
I love Jessie Buckley. Yeah.
I love Jessie Buckley. Anna's character, she lies to her husband and is deceptive, and that just made me not like her, right? Like, and that was fine, I guess. Like she's a flawed female character, which is fine. But I felt like the movie that is the better version of this movie has already been made, and it's called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where you erase. You have a bad relationship, you want to just get it out of your head, and you erase it from your head. And then suddenly this couple actually still comes back together, even though they both had their minds erased, right? I love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's a movie I'll watch maybe every 5 years, maybe every couple years. But I think I think that's just a better exploration of relationships. And I was hoping this film would have gone the deeper layers. See, it's sort of like it doesn't go the deeper layers for me. The science fiction angle is just a hook. It's not particularly sci-fi. It's no more or less sci-fi than Pod Generation, although I'd say Pod Generation did a much better job. I just at the end, I felt like this movie was almost like advocating polyamory in a way. This was sort of like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into why I came to this determination. Yeah. Alan, you've seen Fingernails.
I saw it. Yeah, we were there together. I'll say I like the movie better than you did.
Yes,
I do think it went into the deeper levels, which is why I liked it. I do walk away kind of like, but would I see this again? My daughter was there with me. I literally she was forced to see this movie with me because of traveling and scheduling issues. Like I couldn't drop her off at home after a certain thing, so she went. And I wasn't sure what she was going to think, and she gave it a 9 out of 10. She loved this movie. I wouldn't go that far, and I don't think I'd go as far as you did, because I like a movie that makes you think, and I think this movie has ideas that it presents that makes you wonder about its things. You say love test. It's actually love training. They go
Love
through these
Train.
training sessions to increase the odds that you'll get that 100%. Um, and and then this movie will evoke emotions because there are a few scenes where they actually rip out the fingernails, and the entire audience is just groaning. And
Right, right,
like, I
right.
can't believe this is happening, and then it happens, and then it happens again and again, and then from then on, anytime there's an implied fingernail being ripped out, you feel it in your body and your soul. And and I think the thing that stuck out to me the most about this was just this idea that, um, and you brought it up in what you said, but the fact that you have to take a test like this, that we that anyone who's read Cosmo, there are tests all the time about whether you're compatible with your mate, things like that. And this takes it to that extreme, saying that, here's that surefire test that's going to tell you whether you are compatible, and the cost is a second of intense pain. Um, and I think even the filmmaker brought up was the fact of, why are we taking tests like this? What is the nature of compatibility, of why you choose who you choose, and do we sum it down to a test? And I think that's the whole point of this movie is, even if you had the surefire test, is the test right? And I there's that exploration there that I kind of found fascinating. I wouldn't say this is the greatest movie ever made. I would Pod Generation make that, and The Land of Invisible Hand is much better than this. And so yeah, I would give it a mild recommendation. There's just enough interesting to go on, and believe me, you're gonna feel things, feel horrible things
Well, I
when you're
mean,
watching this movie,
I mean,
and that's a testament to filmmaking as well.
this movie also kind of speaks aloud. It's one of the themes. I mean, in one of the lines of the movie is, "This is going to hurt." Like, yes, being in love hurts.
Yeah.
A certain amount of pain accompanies a relationship, positive or negative. Pain is part of the process. So
Yeah. And I think that's the film's point is, what does it mean to be in love? Is compatibility really one of the true measures of love?
right.
And and then and just the fact that people would be willing to go through this to make sure that they're not going to divorce, is is an interesting thought to mull over in your head while watching this.
Right. Well, let's. I don't recommend it. You give it a mild recommendation or a
Yeah,
recommendation.
and my daughter gives it a glowing recommendation.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. Let's go to our comments here about this as we check in on the cats. So there we go. More cats. More Captain Marvel cats. They're sleeping now. What is going on? All right. Well, your comments. We had a big super chat come in here from Eric Stratton. I got to read this. He says, "Your take on showing us why indies can be cool. Here is some dollars for fun stuff or whatever is needed at FT. P.S. You might get a fun surprise this weekend if all goes to plan." Eric, are you coming to Grand Rapids? I'm already being admonished because I haven't gotten to my booth yet. But I'm gonna finish up work here and I'm heading over there. Eric Stratton, hope to meet you at the show. Thank you for your very generous 7777. Is incredibly generous.
Yes,
that is the super chat of the day. So thank you for that. That's awesome. Another super chat here from Matthew Hammond. Jesse Buckley was really good in Wild Rose, that came out in 2018, about a Glaswegian musician who plays country music and has a goal of playing in Nashville.
Yes, Wild Rose is a great movie. I believe it's on Hulu. But this movie, at least in America, put Jesse Buckley on the map, and I saw it on the festival run.
Yeah,
which is incredible. So yeah, check out it. Wild Rose is very unlike any of the other Jesse Buckley performances you've seen of late.
John Neeson says ripping off fingernails feels like a great cheat code to make everyone feel something.
Yeah.
And Eric Stratton comments says not able to do with medical stuff. The nerd far away says love hurts, but so does loneliness. Which would you prefer? Well, it's sort of like that. I hate to say this. It's a quote from Woody Allen about love. And this is in Annie Hall at the end. He talks about how love is pain. He goes through this whole speech, but I need the eggs. You know what I mean? It's like, I need the eggs. I need them. I need the relationship effectively. I don't know what the exact quote is. Maybe someone can find it, but there you go. And then, from Rumble, $8.24 says, Alan is Frank's work husband. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And $8.24 goes on to say, younger generations are too fat and stupid to earnestly comment on the physical appearance of any past generation when society had standards. Well, there you go.
Yeah. And then he has another comment under that.
What's that?
He has another comment under that.
I already read that one.
Oh, is that one?
And then this sounds like a certain UK game show.
Yeah,
that's all the rage on US TVs right now.
Yeah.
What is that? Blinded by
That
Love?
show I believe he's referring to as Naked Attraction.
Oh, Naked Attraction. Yeah,
and that's on Max.
There's Blinded by Love, which is also on Netflix. Spidey Sensei 72 says you could special order your own personal Funko dolls of yourself on their website. Oh wow!
Actually, we could go to the Funko store in Hollywood and get it right away.
Let's do it together, Alan, and then we'll get our fingernails ripped out.
Yeah.
Brock Samsonite says Priscilla Presley got to read the script, and that's how she got the executive producer credit, and that she didn't like how her father was portrayed. Variety just did an article on how vocal she was before passing away. Oh, that's sad. But there you go. That's going to wrap it up for us today. We have a few movie reviews we didn't get to today. I promise we will get to them next week. We're trying to find the balance between news stories and reviews. If you missed anything, you're watching live, maybe you tuned out, whatever, you're just tuning in. We take clips from our show and post them on our channel. So there you go. Next week, The Marvels arrives. Alan and I have still not been invited to a screening.
I don't think anyone has. I honestly don't think anyone has.
We have still not been invited to a screening of The Marvels. My feeling is we will get a last-minute invitation so they can say they did one, and it'll probably be on next Wednesday. Just a guess. Until then, go to the Marvels or go to the official Marvel YouTube channel to watch some cats.
Yeah. Let's just say Disney is letting me see Wish before they're letting me see Marvels.
I know, it's so weird. Alan, I'm at Grand Rapids Comic-Con, so I'm going to be heading to my booth. I'll probably be there in the next hour or so. So please be patient with me, folks. My apologies. We needed to plan this a little bit better. But I will be here all weekend. I've got panels on Saturday and Sunday. So look for me. I promise I'll be there. Alan, what do you have coming up this weekend?
Yes, I have. I'll be at the National Comedy Theater in San Diego tomorrow, Saturday at 7:30. And yeah.
So is there a link to get tickets on your link tree?
Yeah, I'm working on my
link tree, Alan.
I created my own pseudo link tree, which I need to update, but I can get that out there.
So you don't? Okay, this is.
I don't have something on Linktree, but I do have something.
Well, oh my gosh, I have a link tree that I put on all of my social media, and look, it says it's all the stuff about what I'm doing. It's links to projects. It's links to get tickets to award this. You should create a link tree, Alan. You could link to my link tree.
Well, I have
follow this guy.
Yeah, hold on. I created my own little link tree here on my.
Let's see. I want to see
on my personal website. I haven't updated lately.
We're updating our link tree. Oh my God, that looks like a link tree from 1999.
Yeah, guess what? I didn't spend a single dime on it. So
the link tree is free.
Yeah, another thing.
Do you have a link?
Another,
do you have a link to
another website that I give my personal information.
Do you have a link to get tickets for Award This?
Oh, hey. Oscars, huh? Oscars can suck it! I don't even have a penis. Watch Award This at awardthis.com.
There's links to tickets for Award This. It's on Sunday, December 10th at the Frida Cinema. Join Alan and I there and a whole host of special guests. Rub elbows with a lot of the indie filmmakers that we talk about on the show. They're going to be there. The nominees will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go to awardthis.com. There are links to get tickets. And there's also a link in my link tree. Alan, just make a link tree.
All right. Another
All
thing
right.
I can manage. Yeah.
And last but not least, have to
By the
thank-
way, we're posting reviews of the Award This nominees at filmthreat.com every day.
Yes, every day there are new reviews. Well, no, they're not new, but they're reviews of films for LA Comic-Con.
No, for Award This. For Award This.
Where's your OnlyFans link, Chris? Says SP of the North. I don't have an OnlyFans.
Yeah, we want that spicy content.
Dan Minak says, hey, Chris, when are your panels at LA Comic-Con? I might head out there. The panels are on Saturday and Sunday, December 2nd and December 3rd. I will be there. There will also be before that a meetup that may involve Nerdrotic.
Yes. And I
Details
believe
are
he
coming.
announced that he is on some of those panels as well.
Yes. Patrick Lemire says, Ing the Merciless Funko. And Brock Samsonite says, Priscilla. Oh, wait, I already read that.
Yeah, we got that one.
Well, there you go. There you go. And finally, I need to thank our mods today, Ms. P Coffee, Latino Slant, and Gridiron Masters. Want to thank them also. I'm actually not sure if I want to thank Paulie, but Paulie may end up being on our show. When we review the Marvels, what I'm thinking of doing is we'll do a panel. So we'll get not just my opinion and Alan's opinion. We're going to bring on Paulie, probably Dante James.
The diversity panel, the Film Threat diversity.
Oh, we're going full diversity panel. We're going full diversity panel. So, but I'll have details on LA Comic-Con when I have them. I'll release my panel schedule and whatnot. This weekend, it's all about Grand Rapids Comic-Con. So join me in the Big Mitten. I'm part of the Michigan Mafia living out in California and love hanging out with Michigan folks. Alan, so you're going to update your link tree.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, how do people find this link tree? If you create
you put it on your it's on my Twitter, it's on my Instagram. It's just easier. It's like, here's
I'm just saying my link tree is on my Instagram.
No, it's not. That's not.
Yeah, the link is on the.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this offline. Just Alan.
Yeah, I'll get it updated.
All right. What's the last thing you want to say?
Let's get out of here.